Give me a second so I can send the link. Okay, link sent. Let's see if we can. Okay. We're live, we're live, we're live. The weekly.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you? How are you, man?
Doing pretty good. So, were you able to get your poll for this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not only that, I got a little surprise. My comic shop didn't. There was a mistake. And they didn't cancel Black Lightning.
Oh yeah, I saw that tweet. Yeah.
So I have it up to number 4. So I told them, you know what? Don't cancel it. I might as well do a few videos out of it.
You're gonna roast it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Fellas.
Hey.
What's up?
What's up?
Good.
So everybody's here.
Yes. Josh should be the gray alien should be Josh loading in.
I'm guessing so too. So let's
not kick him yet. How about that? How about we give him the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah. We should. Hey, Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
He should be. Let's see.
I can hear.
Oh, no audio yet. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe the aliens didn't abduct him.
Oh no! Not the gray aliens. They do random props on you.
He's gonna probably have to click back in. Hopefully that'll work.
He joined the call again.
Okay. Hey Josh, can you hear us, man? There might be some mic issues or something.
Yeah, I'm guessing so too.
Okay, well, shucks. Let's see. Oh, you can't hear nothing either. Wow.
No,
that's weird.
He doesn't hear us either.
Huh. That's mighty odd.
Braylon, do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe he needs to go in the settings and click the gear and switch to the mic, his internal mic or the mic that he has. Because the first time I forgot to switch that option on.
Would you care to tell him how in the chat? Because he can't hear us either.
Oh, okay. Let me try something. Let's see.
He's dropping and jumping in again.
Sometimes that helps me when I do when I record my podcast. We use Google Hangouts, and sometimes it doesn't. Even though my headset mic is plugged in, it doesn't register. So sometimes leaving the call and calling back in sometimes works. That's but yeah, I'm not very technically minded, as my OBS freak out proves.
That was hilarious.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm thinking, because I used to do Ustream back in the day, back 2011, 2012, where you just download the Ustream, I think it's called TriCaster, and you could stream yourself either playing games with your, I was doing it because I was using, at the time it wasn't a Wacom tablet, but it was close enough.
I'm not sure, but I have heard that OBS can be used instead of the TriCaster.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, this would be pretty simple. It is not simple at all. I was like, okay, I'm watching like I have like
Well,
this
it's
video.
professional grade software, or so they say.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh, it's got to be simpler than it was even 2011, 2012. Nope,
No,
nope.
no.
Yeah, it was
No,
far
well,
from it.
you should have seen my first live stream. I couldn't even get me into the live stream.
God, that's not good.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh shucks, I was just wish the thing would work for Josh. You know, he's here, but he's not here.
Yeah, and he's the special guest.
He's a special guest. Well, you know, when you said earlier that a storm might be coming through and ruining things, and I was like, well, I might have to back up and prepare, this kind of thing. When you said like a storm, the only thing I could think of was the end of Terminator when a little kid, you get the photograph, is like, you know, what did he say? A storm's coming.
Yeah. I know. Also, no, go away.
Yeah, it's like thankfully that was
Sorry.
hopefully, if not delayed, if not incorrect, totally.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, Josh,
hello.
you hear us?
Hey, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just needed to upload a different browser.
Ah, good. Well, welcome to the party, pal.
Excellent.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Josh, please. What are you doing right now?
Well,
are
I'm
you
looking
working on?
forward to my second installment of the CASEFILE Arkham series becoming available in the next, I believe, 8 days now.
Nice.
It's, again, the second in the CASEFILE Arkham graphic novel series, which is a hard-boiled 1940s noir set in Lovecraft's Arkham. So you've got to imagine, what if Raymond Chandler wrote H.P. Lovecraft stories? That's kind of the pitch.
That'd be good. I like that. I like the sound of that right there.
And I saw that it was on sale.
The first volume, correct? That was on sale yesterday.
Up for the next couple days until the second book is released. We're going to be doing a sale, but the price increases by $1. So every day. So right now it's at $3.99. Tomorrow it'll be $4.99.
That ain't a bad deal. That's not bad at
Go
all.
grab it. Go grab it.
Absolutely, get it while you can.
Yeah. compared to what most comics cost now. I mean, $4, $3 a piece, $5, depending on certain books. Doomsday Clock.
How many pages is that? Oh, come on, don't remember.
What?
That. Come on.
I'm just taking on.
We were having. Estamos chupando tranquilos. We were having a nice conversation here.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So, how many pages is the book, Josh?
It's 110.
That's a good deal. That's
Wow.
a real good deal.
That's a real good deal. Yeah.
Well, it's a full graphic novel.
And $3.99 right now.
Well, for the digital copy.
Well, anyway,
That's still a great
you go
deal.
buy a digital Marvel book.
Wait, I
How
take
much-
that back. It's 128 pages.
Well, still.
Wow. Anyway. Oh, wow.
Well, that's the thing. It's like is also. I know it's available on Amazon Kindle, correct? Amazon through their Kindle. Is it also anywhere else, or like the Comixology, or is
Yes,
it?
absolutely. It's on Comixology.
Nice. That's what I know. Amazon. I don't have a Kindle. I usually use the Amazon thing, so they buy it through Amazon on Comixology. So yeah, I wanted to know that, so the others could know that.
But I would recommend, if you really wanted the full experience, get the hardbound version.
Nice.
Because let me tell you, black and white in print just looks better. It always does.
Yeah.
And it smells like comic.
Yeah, that too.
Okay, yeah.
And that's one of those things that you get good comics that like I bought some kind of questionable books that have been print on demand, did digital service where it looks like it's been printed on waxy plastic. It's like each sheet was like plastic and black and white, but a nice black and white comic. Like people don't. if you've never actually read like good,
If
like a lot of
somebody,
people,
if somebody doesn't have a credit card, how else can they buy the digital version?
If they don't have a credit card, you use PayPal.
Well, you need a credit card to get PayPal.
Well, I believe that in the modern digital age, if you don't have a debit or credit card, you don't really exist. So
Yeah, pretty much, but some of us still don't have, you know?
well, it does keep you out of trouble. I understand that part. It's like
But
like
since
that,
you're asking about print on demand and the bad luck people have had, I'm with you. I am very picky, and this is work with my name on it. The books, if you order the hardbound edition, it is not a print on demand. It is through a offset printing, full press. They are gloss pages, I believe, 18 mil. This is not a cheap looking book. This is quality product. I will not let my books be printed on print on demand until the technology can meet a standard where I feel it really is worth buying, honestly.
I get that, because that's one of those things, like, you don't get comics now that, you look at stuff coming from supposed major publishers, Marvel, DC, and, oh, it's quality this, but it's that glossy, it looks cheap.
Yeah.
And then you get stuff from, like Alterna does with the black and white, which I praise them to the cows come home, because the paper feels great. The cover stock is perfect. Mm-hmm. It actually looks, it smells like a comic book, and it doesn't have that cheapness. It's cheap, but not it's in the good kind cheap category. It's I could fold this in half and put it in my back pocket kind of thing.
The thing about the glossy stock, the glossy paper, it's because of the way they are doing the color separation now. You can't do digital coloring and print in newspaper.
Well, actually,
Peter, you don't want newsprint.
Well, that's the thing. Like he was showing that that actually you can, but you have to be. You can do it, but the problem with that is you got to. It doesn't have the prestige as a lot of more glossier magazine stock does. But it's also to kind of justify the cost of the price. See, we're not on cheap newsprint anymore. We're on glossy stuff. So from that's what I understand.
Well,
so
I would like the glossy stuff in some trade paperbacks.
Yeah, some formats. Yeah, exactly.
In some formats, it's good.
Well,
but in the floppies,
you want
the floppies. They never should have gone glossy.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I was trying to think. Like I have one book that actually two. I take back 2 books. One is a Speed Racer reprint from Now Comics that came out in the 80s. Old Speed Racer comics, Speed Racer manga that's been flipped and of course English adapted. And the other is U.S. War Machine, which was a black and white Marvel Max series. War Machine's going around killing people with shield agents, and both those were on this kind of pulpy newsprint, and that was okay. But as far as collections, and you need a heavier stock. You need something that's not going to tear when you're flipping through it, and not just tear a whole page out like not a newspaper, phone book. You don't need to be like, oh no, there goes pages 188 and 189. Oh well.
Yeah, I know. So, what did you read this week?
Me?
Anyone? Did you read something this week? Josh?
I've been slowly working through Whiskeys and Wheel Guns by, I know his real name, but I want to get his writer name so it sounds correct. I'll be right back.
All right.
Oh, come on.
I know.
Go ahead, man.
Oh,
Braylon, go
yeah.
ahead.
For me personally, I've been doing a lot of catch up, man.
I bet.
Almost
the saga never ends.
It never ends. Like every time I see something, someone's talking about some cool pulp sci-fi books, I'm like, oh, does anyone have some suggestions? And then as soon as I tweet that, I'm like, why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Yeah.
Geeky and everybody will send me like these 30 like item lists of stuff, and I'm just like, oh my goodness.
I stepped away to run some errands for a few hours that day. You did that because I was tagged in that as well. I stepped away to do a few errands, get some things, and I come back. I had never had this pop up before. You have a lot of replies, and it was like 99 plus, and there was like 200 plus replies and notifications pop up at Twitter. And I was like, this has never happened before. I hope it never happens again, because it was nightmarish, because I was looking through, making sure I didn't miss anybody like actually getting at me, not like talking around me. But now I got to get that Lex Weaver comic. So thanks a bunch for that,
dude. Okay, so here's the thing. All right, Nathan Never. That might be a book. So So yeah, that is the book. So tomorrow, I'm gonna go pick up Batman White Knight. By the time I got it from work and did everything I needed to do, I was not going to be able to get back through all that traffic to get to my shop. So I'm probably going to get that and probably see if I can order Nathan Never. The cool thing is that, what was I going to say? Nathan Never has been translated to English, but I've been searching forever, man, to find Lex Weaver, who's I haven't gotten to check it out, but from the things I've seen, she is a character that pops up, a reoccurring character that pops up in the Nathan Never books. And she got a spinoff, but I can't find it in English. Everywhere I look, it's in French.
That's gonna be the price you pay for a lot of these things, because like certain characters, certain books will get translated. Some of the weirdest ones for some reason, because it's like where it's kind of like when they do music and movies. You think some bands, they'll be cheap. You can license that music for that movie. It's like licensing that comic to be translated to English. And then some people are like, no, you got to pay me more. And so they're like, okay, we'll go to somebody else who's willing to play ball. And that's from what I understand a lot of the translation, like games, especially, the more, like say, French to English or the Japanese to English stuff usually is pretty easy. I mean, also a lot of people already do the fan translations, the scan sites and everything. Not so much for the French stuff, especially with ones from the 90s. But I was going through the back catalog, and it's like, a guy named Reiser breaks her up. Paul Reiser from Aliens, Weaver, Sigourney Weaver. There's a guy named Olivier Lawrence Olivier. There's a lot of this really cringy name drop stuff, but I still want to read it. But it's but it looks like it has that. The art style's really simple, really streamlined, but it's not in a childish manner. It's more of that we can do more with less, and it looks great. And everything I've seen of it looks just fantastic. It's like, I need to read this. I'll even read it in I'd have to translate page by page.
I want to add to your read list.
What, in French? Oh
no, in comics in general.
Yeah, it's funny.
You should go get the new Red Sonja from Dynamite.
Is that the one by Gail Simone, though?
It's is this where she was so dykey and skinny?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think that was a variant cover that was just
Red
really
Sonja
bad.
Legendary. It's steampunk Red Sonja. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some of the covers with that.
Let me tell you who JKL. Here it is. Let me tell you who are the creators. It's Mark Andreyko, the writer.
Okay.
The artist is Igor Lima. Colors Adriano Augusto. And letters by Tomás Napolitano. A cover from Joe Benitez. And the colors in the cover, Beth Sotelo. And the cover I got, it's a beautiful cover. You really should go buy it. It's nice.
I must see if my store has it. Sometimes my store is kind of weird about buying. They did have that Conan Wonder Woman book, And I
That
just
wasn't
passed that
good.
by. I just passed that by. Like it didn't even exist. But apparently that's a big deal now. if you pay
That-
attention to creators that.
Well,
But
the thing is, they didn't write Conan as Conan.
Conan's
That's
not
what killed it
thug.
for me.
Yeah.
But this
Oh,
one
man.
was really good. Okay, Legendary,
Okay.
Red Sonja. That was
Yeah, I've seen Legendary do a couple characters too, so I might go ahead and give that a shot. It's just more stuff adding on to the list.
yes. Keep
You
adding,
never
keep
get
adding.
rid of it.
And it was Mech Cadet Ju 2 was out.
Oh
this-
yeah, I read the first issue. It seemed like it was a pretty fun comic. Greg
It's
Pak is writing
a
it.
really fun comic. I don't like the stuff Greg Pak has done in Marvel.
You didn't like World War Hulk? I mean, Planet Hulk?
No, I didn't like it. You can.
Oh, I
just
loved
buy
it.
me.
I actually bought I got an import omnibus from the UK, Panini Press, which is the UK. They do the Italy, a lot of the European collections of Marvel, and a lot of other stuff. And I couldn't find the omnibus here in the States. I bought it. It was like $20, including shipping. And I'm thinking this thing's going to look all haggard and ripped up. It was just a little dinged. And I read it one go, and I'm like, this was such a great story. Why do they have to ruin it by bringing them back to Earth? But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that story. But I'll admit it. I enjoyed a Marvel comic. I do get enjoyment. I'm not just a Mr. Bitter person. I actually have a. I enjoy that that Silencer, the Andy Lanning, John Romita Jr. that new book that DC put out. I think it was last week or this week. About the female assassin, and it was good, but it was. I knew it wouldn't have been the. They're like, oh, we're going to
The Silencer, you mean?
Yeah, the Silencer.
Yeah, that was good.
But the problem is, they're like, this is going to be the most non-PC character ever, and I'm like, no, it's not. You're just saying that to get some eyes.
It depends in how you see it, because you have to remember that she chose to leave her career to become a housewife, and that's a big no-no among feminists.
Well, you got a point. Okay, and guns are bad and all that. Yeah, which is like,
bad.
well, I guess
Well,
guns
yeah,
are
at
bad.
this
Equality is never the answer.
Oh my god!
Anything that's fun seems to be a no-no with the politically correct crowd. So I mean,
Yes.
at this point, saying it's the most politically incorrect really isn't saying a whole lot.
Yeah, true.
Maybe 5 years ago, oh man, this must be horrible. Nah,
No.
you read it now, it's like,
bad
eh?
comics out there. I mean, I'll go back to it. The Golden Age Batman books. There's one, the first volume, Batman Chronicles into Volume 1, which includes a story that has Hugo Strange in it. And if you played any of the Batman games, the Arkham games, Hugo Strange plays a major part. Well, there's a story where Hugo Strange is taking the homeless and injecting them with this chemical formula that's making them grow to 8-9 feet tall, basically the Titan formula from the games. Batman and his Bat gyrocopter, didn't have a Bat plane yet. It was like the gyrocopter. One of these, first off, these giant homeless men grab Batman, and he gets injected by Hugo Strange, which is like, that's a lot like Arkham, Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, where he gets kind of infected, and so he finds out a counter formula, and he's going to go defeat Hugo Strange. And one of the ways he does it, one of the giant homeless men tries to attack him on his bat plane. Batman lowers a rope and strangles the guy and does the Omar from Scarface. That piece of shit up there, never liked him and never trusted him. I had my Fernandez killed. He's like hanging him from a helicopter. I'm like, this is insane. And then goes and blows the place up. This is Batman when to kill vampires, he poured silver bullets. And he shot vampires while they're sleeping in the daytime. Batman in Golden Age is great, but Superman, he was just as psychotic. There was these mine owners. They were treating the people in the mine poorly, and then Superman said, "Okay, to get these mine owners to change their ways, talking to them ain't going to cut it." So he dresses up one of the mine workers, goes down in there, brings the mine owners down into the mine, then collapses it, punches the support structure. And basically traps him in the mine to say, Either you agree to pay your workers better, give them better working conditions, or you'll never get out of here. I'll let you die down here. This is it's propaganda. Superman was definitely propaganda back then. Same thing, Captain America. Because people forget Captain America was done before Pearl Harbor. There was a comic, Captain America Red, White, and Black, where they retconned that the first people. It was like kind of Tuskegee Airmen experiments. That the first people to be experimented on with the super soldier formula were black soldiers, which doesn't line up with the Marvel timeline because it was 1940 when Captain America came around, and which they could easily say, okay, well, they're trying to replicate the formula. The formula's been lost, and they're doing all they can, and they're doing horrific things. We get that, but having to say Captain America, that was just a myth. He wasn't the first person. It's like, no, that makes no sense. It's like it's kind of a weird retcon. But
Marvel never was great in keeping the continuity.
Oh, no.
Well, you know that Black Panther is the first movie ever made with a black person in it.
Oh yes,
wow, I didn't know this.
And it's the most.
Oh boy. You want to hear my story of what happened when I post that video up?
What?
So I posted a video, right? I knew I was gonna get crap for it. I knew it, and I was like, I titled it "Is Black Panther an example of virtue signaling?" Right? So
I didn't saw that.
Oh man! So I'll send it to you. to you. And pretty much what happens is that this guy flips out. I don't think he watched the video. I think he just saw the title and like lost his mind, right? Because what I was saying was that I said multiple times, I'm pretty sure this movie is gonna be good. The problem is that everybody's losing their mind saying it's the first movie the black male lead, which isn't black male superhero. I was like, no, it's not. And then I said everybody on news outlets are like going like hashtag Black Lives Matter. Like they're acting like this is going to be the messiah to save all black people, right? With this movie. And I thought I was the only person that was thinking this. I saw a live stream with I Love Comics and Master Chudy was on there, like 2 or 3 black YouTubers. And they were like, man, we got so much mess when we said that this movie is getting overhyped. I saw a guy talking on Twitter and he was like, dude, why is everyone like losing their minds about this? They were saying like everybody's like just like holding it up to a high esteem. And I was like, what if someone actually has valid criticism? And if they say anything about this movie, now, if it's something dumb like, oh, Black Panther jumps around too much or something, something stupid like that, then I understand. But what if there's a valid criticism of the movie and then you can't say anything because like, oh, you're hating on it because it's a black movie or, with a black cast?
Well,
so that's
what they did with Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And by the same crowd.
So I did a review on that, and pretty much like everybody, like this dude just hold on. Let me see where it is. Let me scroll down. I'm pulling it up in separate. Okay, let me tell you what this guy. So this guy says, "You just can't believe it's a good movie." Wow. And I said, bro, I was pretty sure I said it was probably going to be good. I felt like media and news outlets had blown it out of proportion. It's not the first movie with black superheroes, right? So next, the dude comes back and he's like, you assume that it's not a good movie as good as people were claiming because of the race of the cast. I was like, that is not what I said. And then he basically did what you really mean?
The lobsters.
Yeah, he was doing that. He's like, so what you're saying is, like, he pulled that argument. So, and then he says, you're just as biased as the people you're claiming are biased, worse even. There's no need for you to go into a long exposition about it. In my mind, I'm like, bro, you saw, like, how'd you find out about this video? Either I retweet stuff or someone's retweeted it and you saw the title. And if you would have looked in the description, he would have noticed that I said, quote, this movie will no doubt be good, but unfortunately, biased reviews and media outlets have made it a victim of false journalism and agendas. That's what I said. And and then he says, God forbid. And then he goes back and he goes in a rant. He's like, God forbid this film just be truly exceptional. Blacks could never do something like that. They're just being nice. I was like, bro. And then he says, you sound like a condescending, jerk. Go see it yourself before doing a write-up. What I said had nothing to do with the movie. What I said had to do with the media outlets. You have people posting on Twitter, oh yeah, it's like saying, oh, first of all, the movie's marketed in a way where it comes out during Black History Month. Okay. Second of all, Second of all, if you want to get mad, and I was talking to a friend about
do you want to bet they did it on purpose?
It was on purpose. Second of all, you got people posting on Twitter saying, hey, if you're not a person of color, we should see the movie. If you've bought a ticket, give it to someone with a person of color. This is our movie. First of all, that's just racist.
That's highway robbery right there. That's like
well, let me say something in a little bit not PC, okay?
Oh, geez.
Right now,
right
now, in the U.S. and here
we're gonna lose all all the people watching this. They're just gonna leave.
Probably. You know where I go sometimes, but right now in the U.S. and here in Mexico, the most racist people are black people. Not that all blacks are racist, but the racist people, the most racist people are black people, because they are talking shit. You watch them. You just watch what they say, what they write, the videos they make, and because they can get away with it, you know, they talk shit about white people, about Asians, about Latinos, about anybody.
It's really this just weird deal where I pretty much said in the video, I was like, guys, let's just go into this movie and enjoy it for what it is. Because you had BuzzFeed, obviously, and all these other, saying, oh, like, it's a movie. Yeah.
BuzzFeed, Salon, all of those should go the way of the Gawker.
So I was just like, guys, let's chill out, all right? I'm going to go see the movie, and I'm going to like it for, if it's good, it's going to be good. Even I was talking to Mr. Marvel, and he was like, the problem is that this movie will no doubt be good, right? At the very least, it will be like a 7.5 out of 10. At the very least, right?
Yes.
Or 7 out of 10. It'll be a solid, fun superhero movie. Now, the problem is if people just get overhyped and go see it, now what's stopping them from making a slightly mediocre B-level superhero movie? And if you don't go see it, or if you have something to say against it, they can pull the whole Marvel Comics thing with saying, hey, you're a racist because you don't like it. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what my concern was.
You mean like Ghostbusters?
Like Ghostbusters. And I don't, like Larry said, I don't want to be the guy I don't want to be angry all the time with comics. Because I honestly thought about removing the video until I saw how many views it got, and I was like, nah, I'm keeping this crap over here. I saw the views. I was like, never mind.
I have a different take.
I want to be mad about comics, but because Larry doesn't like the same things that I do. And that's it, Go back to...
No, I'm going to go with Salon on this one. White people just need to suck it up, buy tickets, and give them to black people. It'll be horror reparations.
Yeah.
Well, it's like...
Hail Moctezuma.
Well, what bothers me about it, it's this... Okay, understand. Disney has... Even though they act like they have a plan, like, you found out with Last Jedi didn't have a plan about Star Wars. But when it comes to marketing the films, they have a plan. They focus group the hell out of their stuff. They know what markets to hit. Okay, we need this musical number, this little musical comedy bit. There's going to be this lighthearted element. Oh, we got to have the baby Groot. We got to have this. We got to have that to make the movie marketable and for the mass audience. Then when you go and say, okay, we're doing the Black Panther film. We're doing this movie with 98% of the cast is black, and not even like and the thing about it is, like, the lead actor, if they wanted to get really to get a lead actor that was from Africa, from an African actor, whether it be South African, from Namibia or wherever, just have have an actor with a proper, like, say, when you think of the African accent, like the continental, African to English, whatever language, whatever.
There's not an African accent, okay?
Well, no, I'm saying that the best one, we have to take his arm. He has the power from District 9 when they're gonna cut off his arm. That's the only thing I think of. It's like that kind of it's not a American accent, not a American accent you would find no matter where you go in America. And I've been some odd places. I've been to Wisconsin. That's a weird place. Okay, a lot of serial killers come from there. But you have this armor that they wrap around themselves. Having it done in within February, Black History Month, and having predominantly black cast. And so if you're not going to go see this movie, what are you, racist? You hate black people? And I'm like, maybe it doesn't look interesting. It looks like some kind of near future, like a little like futuristic thing. And I don't see you're not showing me, okay, hero. Okay, I see the hero, but what's the villain? So it's like internal power struggle. Like, that's the thing. It's like it's kind of this. They shored themselves up to kind of protect themselves from kind of naysayer viewers. How dare you naysay? I've had the I would call it the Black Panther Patrol out. Like if you tweet about Black Panther and not extremely positive about it, what do you mean? What do you got a problem with this film? You want it to fail? You're like, whoa. Maybe I do, but I didn't say that in the tweet. All Marvel movies to fail.
And here's the thing, okay? It's all over the world. Canalus, who's in the chat right now, and says that thanks to you, he can't go watch the movie without thinking he should sound like Ugandan Knuckles.
He beat me to it. I wanted to say I would be deeply disappointed if there wasn't at least one Ugandan Knuckles reference.
Yeah. Do you know the way?
But no, it's like
Canalus and
I saw the diversity in comments you got in Knuckles and I died laughing. It's like, do you have the shekels? Do you have
the one I put that Narkesh one, yeah, it's like the do you know the way? You know?
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. Canalus and I were last night, early this morning, arguing with another Spaniard. You know, he's from Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we were arguing with him because he was saying it was the greatest movie because the African culture and blah 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 blah. And the alt-right was the ones that were against it. I haven't seen really anybody talking shit about the movie.
Well,
but then again, I don't go around talking to the alt-right.
I hate to break it to him, but he's talking about all the African culture, but two Jewish guys thought all this stuff up.
Yeah, no, but even worse. Okay, Wakanda is the dream of the alt-right.
Yeah, it is. It's an ethno state.
Yeah, it's a separatist ethno state.
No immigration.
No immigration.
Cultural preservation.
Yes.
Anti-refugee.
No democracy.
Isolationist. Yeah, so it's everything.
Yeah.
It's really everything that they want, and it's like well, hey, that's a good idea. But the difference is.
And when I told him that, he went and said, "Well, I'm talking about the movie, not the Black Panthers, the movement." That's what I'm telling you.
But that's the thing with some of these people. You try to you can see, I try to see 3 or 4 steps ahead. Like, okay, if I have a conversation with this person, where would it lead to? I look through their previous replies, and usually they are exactly you go 5 or you don't even go a dozen down. It's usually between 5 and 12 replies, and it's usually Drumpf is okay, we get where you're coming from. Okay, so it's like that kind of person, very argumentative. You're tweeting at other people, and it's like and not. Somebody didn't tweet directly to them. They're just replying, trying to get some attention. Yeah. Because they're hurting on the inside. They need somebody to show them some attention and affection because mommy and daddy didn't. That they're miserable with their own lives.
And negative attention is better than no attention.
Yeah, they want to argue with somebody. I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting the closest I came to it. Fun. Well, it can be fun, but that's a kind of fun. It's like same thing with. It's real fun eating a tub of ice cream by yourself. That could be fun too. No, don't do it. Don't do it. But when you get in the argument with some of these people, it's kind of hard to get yourself out of it. It's kind of hard to disengage from it because you don't want to seem like you're bitching out hey, I can't take it no more. But
if you're doing it for the fun of it. You can get out anytime you want. Yeah, so, Josh, once you finish this book, what are your plans?
Oh, with Case File Arkham 2?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the book's done. I'm already working on something else. It's just
Where?
an issue.
Please
It's
tell us.
what? Oh, well,
Do a pitch.
I've got a couple things under my belt right now. I've got a couple prose stories that I want to work on for the year. I want to spend the year promoting and really trying to get Case File Arkham to have a much bigger audience. I feel that the first book didn't really get the promotion it should have, because when everyone found out book 2 is coming out, they said, oh, we'll just wait until book 2 comes out before we promote it. It's like, well thanks.
No.
So we're going to spend the year promoting the book, and I'm going to work on other projects, but I have written out a rough outline for a third book, and I'm very happy with it.
The same Arkham?
Oh, yeah. Third installment of Case File Arkham. On top of that, I've got a couple short stories I'm working on. I've just about finished up one called Who Saved Who, which is probably one of the most unique stories I've ever written.
Oh.
And completely different than probably anything you've seen me do, or I don't know how familiar you are with my work. Do you want the description of this story?
Yes, please.
Okay, right now the story is at about 10,000 words, and it's set in the near future. It's about a guy who worked in space. He was an astronaut, and he was a part of this. Essentially, they were a salvage crew that would circle around the Earth and pull satellites and old pieces of space wreckage out of orbit so that they didn't cause a problem.
Yes.
And during a routine job, there's an accident. He sees a friend die, and he loses his leg. The story starts with him on Earth going through post-traumatic stress, trying to adjust to essentially an entirely new life, and trying to adjust to the fact that the career he thought he'd had is over for him. And to deal with the near suicidal depression, he's been assigned a companion animal. And the companion animal he has been assigned is a rat that's intelligent.
Oh.
And I mean, it's not the typical Josh Finney story that people know. It's a bit of a different side. And really, it's kind of a character piece where it's just this guy dealing with post-traumatic stress, and he's got this rat that he talks to. The rat can talk to him via text messages. It thinks it, and they show up as a text message.
Uh-huh.
And later on, there's kind of the story culminates in them bonding when he finds out that the rat is working as a companion animal because it can't do its job anymore either, because it used to disarm mines for the military.
That's interesting. Good gracious.
But saw a fellow rat get blown up, and because of post-traumatic stress, he can't do his job anymore. Now, if you're wondering where the hell this bizarre concept came from, because it is a strange one.
Well, yes.
I have post-traumatic stress, and it's fairly bad. Without getting too deep into it, at age 19, I was caught in a random act of violence. I got shot in the back. There was a bullet in my stomach. I nearly died. And it took a long time to get my head together. But, once that happens to you, it never goes away. You're going to have post-traumatic stress the rest of your life. It's just dealing with it. And about 2 years ago, my wife really, really wanted pets. And we decided, with the size of our apartment and our lifestyle, I said, okay, not a dog, definitely not a cat. I'm cool with rats. You get rats. I'm cool with that. And I figured they were just going to be hers. I was the end of it. And I ended up bonding with one of these rodents and just being thoroughly, utterly blown away with how intelligent these guys are. Now, I didn't know at the time, but the one I bonded with was abnormally smart. I mean, rats are smart creatures, but this one was uniquely intelligent. And a lot of the story was just influenced by the fact that having him around really helped a great deal with my own post-traumatic stress, and that while having this rat, I started studying and researching into rodents and finding out all this crazy ass stuff about experimentation we're doing. Everything from, yes, brain links to breeding rats with human brain tissue, and it's
making them breathe underwater.
Yes.
And did you happen to get on the to see the mice Utopia?
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with that.
Did you saw that?
Yeah.
Well, that's our future as we're going.
Well, I'll argue that, but that's neither here nor there. There's a lot of reasons not to think so. Okay, I'll tell you up front. One, keep in mind that rats are a R-type breeding animal, and we aren't. They breed non-stop. That's the point. And the other point of the experiment is there was no place for the rodents to go. At no point could they expand outward. They were stuck within the habitat where everything was provided to them. Everything. At no point did they suffer any hardship.
Yes, but even if we don't get exactly to the same extreme, you can see part of the problems we're having right now.
Oh yeah, no, I
very similar origins.
No, there are similarities. I mean, it's amazing how much rodents, or specifically rats, do mirror our own psychology in a lot of ways.
Well, they are a social animal.
Yeah.
And so are we. So our brains, if our nervous system still works like the lobsters, imagine how much closer we are to rats.
Our psychology is strikingly similar to rats, actually. But again, without getting too deep into that experiment, it's often too simplified. There's a little bit more to it than that. But no, it's definitely something to pay attention to.
Yeah. What I mean is that right now we're having problems that come from similar origins than the ones that are shown in that experiment.
Yeah, I think that just made me think of something. Yeah, the idea of overpopulation within the, humanity.
It's not the overpopulation; it's the lack of problems.
Well, I was thinking of lack of population. It's like one of those things that people talk about. It's like, oh, don't have kids because we got the resources and everything like that. It's the lack of innovation because you think cities. Well, they have like those like community gardens, but it's like one little, a couple acres and that's about it. But they can have these. I've seen those designs for those skyscrapers that are basically it's a vertical greenhouse.
Yes.
And I've been trying to find where I read this at, or maybe I heard it in a documentary or something. But if you took the state of Texas and you had it basically a city with the same density as Manhattan, but it was the size of the state of Texas, you could put every human being that is existing right now inside that city. So it would be like a mega city, like from Judge Dredd. And so you could have the entire human population with one area on the planet. And I mean, everything else on the world, you can go, hey, I'm going to go out of town. I'm going to go to India and not have to worry about the water being bad because of people defecating in it upstream.
The problem actually isn't necessarily the population per se. The problem is the wrong people populating, which could be very, very easily solved if we stopped forcing competent, successful, and responsible people subsidizing the birth of irresponsible people. And I realize that sounds cold as fuck, but
it is bad. Fuck.
What?
It is bad. Fuck them. It is cold, but fuck them. You don't have to pay. No, really. You don't have to pay for my shit.
Yeah. We really need to stop forcing responsible people to pay for the children of irresponsible people.
And we're subsidizing bad choices.
Yeah, exactly. You stop that, it's going to these problems clear up instantly.
Subsidizing the women having kids out of wedlock.
Yeah.
And it's bad for the woman, it's bad for the kids. And it's bad for the society that has to pay.
Hey, I have a question.
One of the big problems with the rodent utopia was that with everything provided, the male rats had nothing to do. Only the most brutal, dumb asshole ones had any chance of breeding, the most abusive, violent ones. And you saw what happened.
Yes.
They had no purpose.
Yes.
But you're saying something, Braylon?
Yeah. Has anyone? I saw just some guy. He posted a tweet, I think yesterday, and it was an article that Chuck Dixon had written. I think it was about comics. It was titled "Comics for Dummies," but it was pretty much talking about how.
I read that one. Yeah, you retweeted it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was gonna read it again because there was a lot of stuff to kind of like just some really interesting points. I think really what it boiled down to was how comics have become too niche, and it's just gotten too small. And it almost seems like people don't really think of comics as a medium in general, like television. So they feel like there should only be one particular set of thing instead of making things for everybody, but not marginalizing a certain group of people that are into a specific type of comic.
Yes.
Well, now you've entered into the area of my expertise.
What?
Yeah, so that's why I was curious to get your thoughts about it. Because here's some. Oh, what's up?
No, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here's the things that he mentioned. He was saying that how comics back in the 40s and 50s were selling like by billions of copies. I mean, for being honest, the comics were like a dime a piece, right? 10 cents.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of underscores it, but it does show how popular it was. And they mentioned like in the mid 50s, it kind of dipped because how television, but they were saying that a huge group of the readership, surprisingly, was women, right? You had comics like Young Romance while people were getting Batman comics. You had Tarzan comics. You had a lot of other. The problem was that you were getting so many of the same things.
You had horror. You had crime. You had war. You had romance. You had superheroes. You had the funny books. So there was something for everyone.
And here's one of the things that's kind of interesting to me is that I know this is getting into a certain area that maybe some people just might tune out. I saw a little bit of the EVS and Comics Explained live stream, right? Yeah. So although I don't agree with everything Comics Explained says, EVS had brought up the fact of how certain people just take characters out of, take certain superheroes out of their character. They brought up the thing about Secret Empire. And what Comics Explained had stated was that no one really cared about Captain America for a good while until this event. The comics weren't really selling that much. Now, I can't really talk about that because I liked comics, but it wasn't until recently, until I started, past year, I started getting back and actually reading comics.
The comic selling doesn't mean that people don't care. It can also mean that the comic is shit right now. So I like the character, I'm not buying it. Like what I'm doing for the last 10 years plus with Spider-Man.
Right. Well, and it's funny because he said, well, I mean, he said, well, characters, he mentioned that certain people look at comics through a rose, colored glasses, right? I mean, yeah, there were comics, let's be honest, there were comics that came out in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s that were trash. Rainbow Batman, Thor being turned into a frog. I mean, we got some weird... Huh? What's up?
Rainbow Batman, didn't that just come out?
Yeah, it just...
Well, that's Batman's Batman.
Hey, we hold up. Yeah, and it was one. I'm gonna send y'all a message real quick on Twitter. Let me know what y'all think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me check. Give me a second.
Twitter. Let me see.
Come on, Twitter. But yes, that's one of those things. Like you get these comics.
Do you send it where?
I'm about to send it.
Okay. But yeah, that's these comics that they were weird, and when they but every issue was like somebody's first issue. That was the whole thing. The covers were weird and outrageous. Like I have a cover for the Blackhawks, the pilots. I don't know if you ever read the comic. It was basically, it was started out as a war comic, but it kind of graduated into adventure comic. Yeah. And the cover is Lady Blackhawk, who's blonde-haired woman, this bluish black outfit, this kind of leather deal with a skirt, and her and Blackie, the Blackhawk, are escaping these giant gelatinous aliens with glowing eyes that are manipulating puppeteer style the rest of the Blackhawks. We got to get away and warn people, or the world is doomed. And it's so outrageous and stuff. But that's how you get people coming in. And like you see it on the stands, you have to pick it up. Now they don't even try. But that's kind of neither here nor there.
Did y'all see my message?
Yeah, this J.S. Shiro guy's kind of a dick. Should we make him go? I don't know.
Oh, man, why'd you have to do that, Braylon? Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thumbs up. Okay. Like we're saying, like the comics, like if they didn't sell, they trashed it and came up with something else. And then you look at like that Dixon article was basically, yeah, you're right. It has become niche. And Josh, you have like I said, you have Eduardo has experience in the Mexican side of the industry for a bit, until you hung up your you hung up your drafting board, as it were.
Yeah.
But Josh, I mean, you've seen what it's like on the American side, which is a totally different beast. It isn't as sewn up as, it's a little bit more kind of Wild Wild West, a little bit, from what I understand it. Correct?
It depends. It really depends. It fluctuates. The whole thing about comics being niche, this is nothing new. This has been a problem since the 80s, and it's just gotten worse and worse. Years ago, I wrote an article that really offended everyone, where I said, essentially, imagine that the only type of music allowed in music stores was Insane Clown Posse ripoffs. And if you tried to sell classic rock, everyone would tell you to get lost, because, that's not what people are into. That was essentially my example of the comic industry at that time. And it really, in the early 2000s, it started to get better. But then we had the big superhero boom, and it just got worse. Really what it comes down to is, over the years, it's cultivated a niche audience where it's essentially almost all the stores, barring a few in major metropolitan areas. Most stores are only Marvel and DC. A lot of stores won't even order anything but Marvel, DC, and Image. And that the only market anyone cares about is tapping that superhero market. The desire to expand and bring new audiences, though everyone says they want to do it, but the publishers really haven't put forth the effort. And even if they did, these stores are an even bigger culprit. They don't want to put forth the effort.
Here's the thing, okay? In the case of the stores, if you have to order something that you can return, and you don't know if it's going to sell, well, I don't know if you do it. I won't.
Well,
I wouldn't.
The thing is, though, is that you can go through other distributors. It's just stores don't want to. It's too much work. I mean, the idea of these guys getting off their ass and actually looking through more than one catalog just seems to be too much to ask. And, when we started publishing 01 books, from the onset, we came at it from the approach of, what? Fuck Diamond. Diamond is not worth our time, nor is the regular brick-and-mortar comic book store. The people shopping there have no interest in books that aren't superheroes. Diamond isn't going to pay you even if your book does sell and half the time loses your product. A simple Diamond mistake can put a small company out of business, which they've done once. So we established an entire company and said, we're not going to sell to regular comic book readers because they don't want our books. We're not going to distribute in regular comic stores because the people shopping there don't want our books. And we're not going to deal with Diamond because they're incompetent and a bunch of assholes. And it served us well.
Well, really, I agree with the Diamond part of the thing, but comic book geeks read most everything. You should see the people talking about horror comics, about science fiction. So
Where
only
is
that
this?
there's in Twitter, in our feeds, in our timelines.
Yes,
know
and
what-
those are the people I sell to, though. I mean,
Yeah,
and-
that's the thing. It's like you get the stores that actually. The problem is the store. I love my store. It's a great store. They're down to earth people. They'll take risks on certain books. Sometimes it's paid off, and a lot of times it hasn't. And I get that, and I understand you get gun shy. And also when you got to pay the lease on the building and all that stuff, or if you're or whatever. And so if you're stuck with these comics that you can't return, but if the stores aren't buying them, you get people come in, and you get people that they'll see the new comics and they'll avoid those. And I've been in the comic store long enough to go through the back issues, and they put new stuff in there, these like dollar bins and stuff, and you find like really weird books like Shadow Hawk, which I used to whatever, but these comics are so quote unquote bad, but they're the good kind of bad. And I'm going through it, and you see these people come in, and they'll make a beeline after seeing where the new comics is. They'll avoid that, and they'll go and look where the indie stuff is, and like a lot of the crime books, like the Brubaker crime books, or some of the horror stuff, and mainly the Dark Horse. That I consider the BPRD stuff horror. It's got some. It's not straight up horror, but they. Yeah, exactly. It's like a little bit of that adventure horror. It's like that kind of like the serial stuff. It came from beyond midnight. That kind of stuff. But it's fun, and I like that stuff.
And the humanoid books too.
Yeah, the humanoids is perfect with that. But they got that weird, especially with the Mobius stuff and the Jodorowsky. But
and
do you know how hard the humanoid books are to get in a regular comic book store? You have to order them off of Amazon.
Yes,
it's pretty tough.
I think that's one of the craziest things to me is that I've never been just so frustrated with finding out about books that I probably would never have found out about. Like Arthur Adams, I really like the guy's art. I follow him on Twitter. I follow him on Instagram, and there's these other books that the guy's done that I never even heard of. One's called Johnny Future, I think. Another one is called something in O'Brien. It's with like some
paper.
I own that. That's a good one.
Wait, Braylon, wait.
What's up?
The name again?
Arthur Adams.
Arthur.
Yeah. He's been around for a while. He did a lot of X-Men stuff. He's doing the art for X-Men Blue. I don't really care for him,
but I don't follow him. I will. Okay.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like you got that artist right there, and
Monkey Man O'Brien. Yeah, there we go.
It actually was on Comixology. It was on sale a while back, and that's when I picked up. I think it was the collection or one of the.
And there's Hard Crime.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hard Crime is it's publishing right now. Quarry's War is publishing the Millennium Trilogy in comic book form.
See, but you're naming all titles that I'll just get off of Amazon or wait to go to a convention.
And that's the thing. It's like the availability issue.
The thing is that it's not in the comic book stores. But what I'm saying is comic book fans do read them, do buy them when they can find them. And
that's my market. That's exactly who we sell to.
Why could and that's the thing, cutting out the middleman is the best thing to do, because when you have stores that don't take a risk on buying horror, venture, that kind of stuff. Brubaker, the only reason they're buying those Brubaker crime comics is because he made a name for himself doing Captain America, doing that kind of stuff, and having he did Captain America. Oh, I'm gonna check this other thing out he did. He might not like it, but at least you'll check it out. That's what a lot of these people do. They slum it in superhero comics. And superhero comics does have a purpose, but a lot of them slum it there so they can make a name for themselves. So when they sell their own, Queenie's non-binary adventure in Sugar Puff Land, comic through Oni, they could, have like a better marketing potential. It makes it a little easier on them, so they actually go out there and stumping it. And hey, you might like this comic, or here's our tweet, instead of saying, trashing people. But that's the way comics, seem like they are today.
Getting back to your question, though, like I said, when we decided, fuck it, we're not going to bother with the comic scene anymore. We're going to create books. We're going to find our audience and sell that way. We made more money than we ever did bothering with local comic book stores, dealing with Diamond, dealing with essentially what people call the industry. One of the things I hate the most is this constant beating of the drum. You got to support your store. You know what? Fuck that store. They never supported us. And, I would even ask for books and they wouldn't order them. So I was like, who the hell cares? I mean, Barnes & Noble has been a much bigger supporter of us. And think about that. That's embarrassing.
Man, that's kind of sad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like, but I understand. Like and I'm glad that you're doing your own thing. You're cutting your own path. You and Kat are cutting your own path through the wilderness to the future, as it were.
And showing the next generation the path too.
Exactly, and not like it's like it doesn't have to be this way. You don't have to rely on the mom and pop comic store, which is beholden to Marvel and DC and their events, and where you go in there and you might have one or some good new books out, like say, hey, there's a creator-owned book through the new press, but the likelihood of that happening is going to be buried under Spider-Man number 1,000 something or whatever,
Well, to take it a step further, is the stores themselves have chosen not to diversify and have chosen not to try and draw in new audiences and niche readerships. They want the one big niche readership that is Marvel and DC. The other thing is there are distributors out there that you can return the books if they don't sell. They just don't want to bother with it.
Oh,
I you know what I'm kind of curious about to just pick y'all's brains on. So in that article and what I've noticed, what do you think about the whole thing about criticism? Just not even just that, just I know creators are human, right? And sometimes you have a rough day, somebody says something stupid on Twitter, and you might chew them out. But what do you think of the fact that people are defending, creators and writers and artists working for a publishing house, and they just say all these crazy things online, and then get upset when customers say, "Hey, bro, could you stop, doing X, Y, and Z?"
I honestly believe that on some level, Marvel is being ran and staffed by people who hate comics, hate the books they're doing, and hate everything about it, and on some sick subconscious level are looking to completely destroy the entire ship. If these are the people that Marvel wants to employ and stand up for, if these are the kind of books they want to publish that shit on their audience, they get everything. They deserve everything they get.
yes.
But my thing is like that right there.
That's what I've been saying for months. Boycott Marvel.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with that is you can boycott. Say we had right now we had some way to every person that was not buying. We could cut Marvel sales where they down to maybe less than 1,000 copies each. They're like, what's happened? So the stores are freaking out.
Some of those books really are only selling that.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. If we were to cut that, they'd still do the bare minimum to keep that character IP around. It does but that
will kill a
but
store.
here's the thing: they need to make money. They need to pay the bills.
Actually, they don't.
Marvel, they would just close doors. They would just call it like a division, and they'd get third world artists and writers to do it, or get one person to do those. They did it for a while. They had a Disney magazine which had the Donald Duck stuff and a lot of that other stuff in the back, and then they stopped doing that, and now they do them in Italy. Because I know a guy who's like, "Hey, I can send you some." And it's like, "How much would it be?" He's like, $20 shipping. Like, "Nah, I'm good, thank you."
I'll give you my take on that. If that was to happen. Right, what was it last year? They saw a 30% drop in sales. I mean, and you guys have got to know they're fudging the numbers, right? You're aware of that, right?
Oh yeah, and they overship books to stores to show we sold this many. It's like, no, you shipped that many. That doesn't mean they sold. And you screwed over retailers.
That's going to put stores out of business. This cannot go on much longer. Really, what I believe will happen is if they do not get their act together, stores will continue to go out of business. So there's less than, 3,000 stores in all of North America?
Yes.
That's not many. Really, if Marvel and DC cannot produce enough content to keep these stores open because these stores have based their entire profit model on those two publishers. If those two companies cannot produce enough sellable content to keep the doors open, what'll happen is we'll lose all the comic stores, and Marvel and DC will essentially become little tiny boutique publishing houses for, Warner Brothers and Disney, who produce like a handful of books just to keep the IP going.
Yep. That's exactly what would happen.
and
But
DC,
here's the
not
thing,
DC.
okay, Larry, you're saying that they will go under or anything.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
Here's
That's
the thing,
Marvel.
okay?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't care. I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't even care if people like Malin or EBS lose their jobs, because they can do what Josh is doing.
Yeah.
They can go to Alterna, okay, and publish their own stuff.
Or do their own thing, and that's the thing. Like I've seen some people, like I think it was the other night or whatever. Peter Cimeti from Alterna was saying how, like, what they did is, like, Diamond has been screwing them over. Like, so retailer orders, say, 30 copies of The Chair or one of their books, and then it sells out. So the retailer, comic store, says, I want some more copies. They cancel the reorders, so they don't get the copies back in. Well, so what Peter Cimeti's been doing, been contacting retailers directly, and then going and selling directly to the retailers, the comic stores directly, and making a direct sale. But a lot of these guys they're scared of what Diamond might do if you're going, like going around the monopoly, which is Diamond.
And that's the thing that never should be
exactly
allowed to become.
Well, another issue that I ran into with my first book, Utopiates, which was published under a small publishing house called Bloodfire, our books had sold a certain amount, and stores did order a certain number of them, and Diamond just could not be bothered to do anything. They didn't even.
They don't care.
Yeah, they had boxes and boxes of our stuff sitting in their warehouse, and we had stores complaining we ordered it and it never came, and we called them and there's, oh well, no, we already did it.
Because they don't have the competition to worry about.
I want Diamond to go out of business.
There's another thing there's another angle to think about. They might be doing what they did back in the day to the first black-owned publisher.
Yeah, Jungle Comics. Yeah, they would they push them out of business, and that's the thing. Well, Diamond is not the only. There was a comic. I don't know if you ever read. Heard of Miracle Man. Yeah, it's called Marvel Man. Well, Miracle Man #8 came out. Miracle Man #8 is the 8 or 9. It's the birth issue, the one where his wife gives birth in the issue. It's like multiple pages where she's giving birth, and it's very, very detailed. It's extremely detailed, and it's like one of those things. Like, hey, kids. You want to have kids? There you go. But that's pretty much it. It's like that's what to expect. Hey, girls, here you go. With Diamond, they actually they got on the moral high horse and had them removed. But at the time when that book was coming out, there was multiple distributors. It wasn't just Diamond; it was other people too. So it wasn't like we can go get somebody else. Well, if Diamond ain't going to ship it, we get somebody else to do it. Now you got no choice. You got Diamond, and that's it.
Well, if you want to get into comic book stores, that's true.
Yeah.
If you want to get into bookstores, that's not true. And there's Baker and Taylor, for instance, and
but really, bookstores don't carry floppies.
No, well, it depends. But
around here they do. The one, the book's $1 million, but
I don't.
Barnes & Noble carries quite a few DC comics. I don't really see them carry the floppies for Marvel. They only carry like trades and omnibuses for Marvel, but they do carry some of the DC floppies.
And the easy solution is don't publish floppies.
It's a bookstore and a drugstore and a restaurant all in one place.
Well,
name, and they do carry floppies and trade paperbacks too.
Well, here's the thing about floppies that people don't realize: they're not profitable, not even close. And a lot of these companies sell them at a loss. So, really, the format itself, unless you have some sort of special love for it, Other than the big two, people really we just should shelve them and go straight to graphic novels, which is what we've done.
You know what? I really think that for certain stories, graphic novels would actually help. Well, for let's just say, I honestly feel that sometimes when you get behind on a storyline, like let's say for me, I liked Sam Humphrey's first 2 issues of his new run of Nightwing. Right? It's pretty cool because it feels like a detective thriller that happens to have Nightwing as a hero instead of kind of like slapstick humor. But certain other characters I feel will work really well as a graphic novel. Like Thanos, I really wanted to know what that Jim Starlin, book could have been like. That graphic novel. They were halfway through it before it got shelved.
Oh.
And that's another reason people will not try new things, is because it's like, okay, well, this looked really great. Issue 2 doesn't ever come out. Well, why did I even invest in issue 1? I could have read another book. You know, with the graphic novel, you've got a complete story.
Yes.
And I've been burned so many times, just dealing with stuff that either got canceled or left plot threads. One is Ultimates, which I really liked. It was a really cool sci-fi story. And the funny thing is, people, okay, let's just say this: people want to give the argument that if you don't like Marvel, I saw this dude saying, I've been into comics for 40 years. You start to learn that comics are cyclical, right? So then he started saying, people that are complaining about this are babies, all this type of stuff. Yeah. I'm just like, look, if you want to give the argument that comics should be for everybody, and then they say, well, these books just aren't for you, that's like, customer service should be a thing. Some dude posted a tweet, and it was weird because one of the guys that said something, his name is Jason Inman, and he's
I hate that dude. I have issues with that dude, but I hate that guy, but okay,
it's weird because he's always seemed to be a pretty chill guy. So when he made that comment, I was not expecting him to say that, and it sounded like it was completely out of character for him because the guy said, why is it that if I work at Walmart and get paid $10 an hour, $9 an hour, and the customer talks to me crazy, why is it that I have to still be professional and deliver the best customer service that I can provide?
That was him saying that?
No, this is what this creator was saying, and then Magdalene Visaggio flipped out and said, "Oh, how much do they think we make?" And then Jason Inman's like, "Yeah, exactly." Some matter of fact, he didn't say
Madeline Massaggio.
They need to derail the conversation. They can't allow it to go on the professional route because then they have no ground to stand on.
Massaggio in general is a mentally.
Yes.
I can't prove it.
People,
yes.
You don't need to prove it. She's a walking example of mental disaster.
Oh, you want to kill people, right? Pirate stuff,
and
heads in.
I could kind of understand if like a jerk on the internet. He was actually asking like an honest-hearted question. He just wanted to know, and everybody starts attacking the guy. And I'm just like, see, this is why comic book fans / customers get peeved off when they see stuff like that. I guarantee you, if they didn't talk trash like this, people will be more forgiving. But to get garbage stories that get canceled every 7-8 issues, and Spider-Man gets written like a complete loser. And here's the thing, I try not to bash on Marvel all the time. I try to look at the positive.
Why? Be honest. They're stuck right now.
But here's the thing, people
HFE can be positive too, my friend.
But people say,
make them right.
And people are like, well, why would you, people want to give the argument, well, what doesn't work for you doesn't work for everybody else. But here's the argument here. If you talk to a random person about what's going on in comics and you tell them the stuff that's happening to their superheroes, if you show them the stuff going on in Spider-Man comics, they would look at you like, we're in the end times, man. Yeah. This is like some type of upside down world. Yeah. Like I told y'all this, that one of my friends that was reading Iron Man with Riri Williams, right? I had talked about him, defending the book and all this type of stuff. I think I told you all this last week.
Oh yeah.
And he gave a comment on one of the videos I did, I think earlier this week or the end of last week. And I was like, well, some people still enjoy it, right?
Well,
He was like, nah.
some people like eating shit too, you know.
Yeah, it was funny,
But
right?
here's the thing. Okay, look. Here's the thing. Okay, if they go and they make a different line, we were talking about this last week. If they went and do a different line with new characters, and they may or the same characters, okay, and they say this is the slice of life only for gay people. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem. I have a problem when I order chicken soup and you give me shit soup.
Yes. And you have every right as an unhappy customer to complain and never give them their money, give them money again. I mean,
exactly. And I feel like it's like they're holding characters ransom. And when you say this, people say how they try to spin it on you, say how arrogant of you to think that these people go out their way. I was like, arrogant? I mean, how else do you explain it? Nobody wants to undo the whole Mary Jane and Peter Parker marriage. They have him act like a complete loser. And by the way, the people they say that will support these comics, my friend commented on the bottom of one of my videos. He was like, nope, Riri's trash. I dropped it. I'm going to try to pulp my books. The one person that was trying to defend it
here's the thing. Okay.
He was like, I'm
These
done.
people go around talking about how they pirate the comics.
Exactly. They'll go around.
Now,
and when you
here's
ask them to support
the other thing.
Show the proof.
Exactly. Now, here's the other thing. Okay, in any other industry, the customer is always right, within reason, but the customer is always right. Now, these people feel entitled to our money and to our silence if we don't like their product.
Well,
it's like
it's crazy. It's crazy. You don't go to a restaurant, they treat you like shit, and then you pay and don't say anything.
Well, I got to make an observation. Geeky Bugle, what's your name?
Eduardo,
I got to make a point. Yes, it is true this current crop of millennials at Marvel making these shit books do feel entitled to your money because they're communists.
Yes. Yes, we know.
Well,
of course they think your money belongs to them.
Definitely.
Of course they think that your money should go to them. They're goddamn communists. Fuck them.
Yes. But they don't have the right to my heart in pesos.
Nope.
Hey, your 1,000 pesos, which is like $1 here.
No, 20 pesos.
Okay, 20 pesos. Sorry.
It's not Venezuela yet.
Yet. Yeah, they're gonna be invading Guyana before tomorrow, probably. But yeah, that's like it reminds me of Goodfellas. Oh, Captain America's a Nazi. Fuck you, pay me. Spider-Man and Mary Jane aren't married. Fuck you, pay me. It's like that's
exactly.
Good. And it's like, and like the Ron Mars, who was promoting a Kickstarter comic. He's like one of this new thing. And there's a guy I follow, Jason Canary, does this podcast called Happy Haven. Really good podcast. That's the one when John Malin was first on, when the whole thing kind of.
I saw that. I read, listened to that. That was hilarious, man. He was venting so hard, man.
You could hear the moment where he said, "All right, fuck it, I don't care about this working for Marvel anymore."
And he just said, "Let me tell you what's going on at Marvel, man."
He cut a wrestling promo. He cut a wrestling promo, basically. But Jason Canary, he has been retweeting, like he was retweeting Ron Mars, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, unblocked Ron Mars, because I completely went through my block list and got rid of everybody off my block list. I purged myself of that burden. But Ron Mars is one of those guys. It's like, oh, look at this guy. He's like, oh, part of this, the block list stuff. Oh, you want to blacklist creators, and he's one of the mockers. He mocks people. He derides his customers. I'm not asking him to, like, oh my God, you're the greatest customers ever, like, lie, but hey, little decency here and there. I'm not asking for the world. A little bit of decency. Like, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. And that's what I try to live by. I try not to trash people. But
let me tell you.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I enjoyed the first season of Stranger Things, but when they decided that it was okay to punch people in the face and that that disagreed with them, fuck it. I'm not going to watch the show anymore.
I stopped watching it. Well, season 2, that was a mistake because I was watching it, and I when you have to fast forward through a show because it's annoying, and like when you actually come up with better plot points than the actual TV show does, like, oh, they were from California, the guy looks like a young Buffalo Bill, maybe they're vampires, kind of like a Lost Boys kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, how great would that be? Telekinetics versus vampires. That'd be great. Taking trees and turning them into stakes, whatever. Nope. He's just an asshole brother. That's it. And then it's like,
that was kind of, I didn't mind it. I give it like a 7 out of 10, but season 2 had some good things in there, but there was just certain plot threads that they added in. I was like, this didn't need to be in here.
I have a quick point to make, and then I have to step out for a while to walk my dog.
Okay. Not a euphemism.
But, no, not an euphemism. My dog.
I gotta go walk the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing, okay? The worst part is that these people are making us put some ideological lens that we didn't used to have.
Exactly.
And now we are reading comics and searching for that thing that we don't want there. And getting pissed because something that really isn't that big or of a deal or isn't even there sometimes. Remember the first Mr. Oz issue was it Superman or Action Comics?
Which one?
Where it saves the illegals.
Oh, was that which one was that? Which is
I don't remember right now. Sorry.
it might have been Superman. It might have been, I can't remember. I just know. Oh yeah, he jumps in front of the guy with the machine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was losing his shit. It's SJW, and the other side was losing his shit because of the other reason, and it wasn't like that really. But they are making us start looking for monsters.
Yeah, and they're doing that. Exactly. They've poisoned the well to the point where you're boxing with shadows.
Yes,
you're tilting at windmills. You're tilting at windmills, Don Quixote style.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems.
Well, there is a solution to that. There is an absolute solution to that. And that is drop all of your Marvel and DC books, just fuck it, forget it, and buy CASEFILE Arkham 1 and 2.
Well,
greatest
people
pitch
could do both. People could do both, buy your book and buy the other stuff too.
And you know what's
don't have
weird?
to worry about that in my books.
Eh?
You don't have to worry about any of that crap in my books.
Oh yes, I know.
One of the funniest thing is that why is it like a whole bunch of the writers and creators that are doing really well and their books are selling really well don't have all this drama? Have you noticed that? Sean Gordon Murphy, really chill, really good with the customers, always posting stuff about his work.
That's the problem.
He's a real he's a lefty, okay?
Yeah, but he keeps it to himself for the most part, and that's the problem because he didn't choose a side. So he
separates his work from his politics.
Zack Snyder, right? I mean, not Scott Snyder.
Yes.
Scott Snyder. all these Snyders, man. Snyder.
I have to step out because
we got you, man. You step out. We'll be here.
Okay, muting the mic.
Okay. But yeah, with Scott Snyder, he does his job. I think he teaches as well. So he's teaching, he's writing, and he still gets stuff done. And he actually takes, if you have some positive feedback or constructive feedback, he'll get back to you. And he does his own creator and works, like, is it Witches? I've been recommended to read that book, Witches, but the person recommended it to me. Had recommended a lot of comics I didn't care for, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to that. And so, it's a little too many rough around the edges recommendations.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting as well because you don't have okay. I know I've been talking about Batman Dark Prince Charming,
yes,
like ridiculous but I want more people to check this book out because it seems like nobody's talking about it. Like people are saying we want more like Batman stuff, right? And I'm like, you should check this out. And there, it's creator owned, right? I mean, not creator owned, but this guy's doing the art. He's doing the colors. He's doing everything. All right. And book 2 is supposed to come out in the summer. I think he's French or he's Italian or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the way they do stories are completely different. And he's done some other stuff I'm thinking I'm going to check out. It's like all these other, even artists. All right. How many artists have you seen on Instagram and Twitter? You just see their stuff and you're like, dude, if these guys did like a cyberpunk comic or like a sci-fi comic or whatever with their art, because they always post that stuff up, I would pre-order that stuff.
I did a cyberpunk comic.
See, and I didn't know anything about this. You see
honestly,
what I'm saying, man?
Utopiates. I read Utopiates, the first issue, and it reminded me. Like I was like, I read it, and I was like, this is like one of those missing Warren Ellis books that's actually really good because Warren Ellis, he has a lot of hit and miss, and lately there's been a lot more misses. This is like a hit Warren Ellis book, but it's like it feels like Deus Ex mixed in with Watch Dogs a little bit, and it's like all the good parts, of course.
Oh, good.
And I was like, damn, this is good. And this is one of those things where you like, I was worried at first, Josh, because here's the thing. People I've known, like, hey, here's some books I've done. And I'm like excited. I'm like, oh no, they're not that good. But this is good.
You know what, though? To be honest with you, if you didn't like it, you could have been brutally honest with me. I mean, any feedback is helpful. So, you know what? You wouldn't have bothered me if you didn't like it, but I'm glad you were impressed.
Oh, God, I was too. But that's the thing. It's like it's so good to read good comics. And like, I don't know about you two, but I know because Josh knows what this is like being, part of a tandem team, writer, artist, and then, husband, wife duo, boom. But that's one of those things. Like I like either writer, artist, if they do everything themselves. Like, Ed Piskor, who did the Hip Hop Family Tree, which all the, which is like, you to go and do that kind of stuff. And then you have Tom Scioli, who did his Opus, Myth of Opus, which is this weird kind of cosmic send up to Kirby stuff. There's like this giant woman in space. It's like she's like a fertility totem that's floating in space. It's not a planet. It's like
that sounds kind of nice.
It's good. It's good. It's really good. But I don't know if they're in print anymore because I know he's been doing his. He did Satan's Soldier, which was something that I picked up the first issue. It's basically evil Superman, and he had impregnated all these women. And when the babies were born, he threw them into space, and if the baby was good enough, it'd come back to him.
That's really good shit.
He has some really, really good comics. Tom Scioli he's a great dude. He did, when people were charging $50-$60 for commissions at Heroes Con the year I went, he was doing he would do pencil and then ink the commissions for $25. I was like, can you do X-51? And I walked to go get something, came back, and he had already done it. And I'm like, damn, dude. I was like, it's freaking out.
So you realize the mental image you just gave me here.
What?
You give me a mental image of an evil Superman raping a bunch of women, waiting there while they're giving birth, and then kind of doing a World Series pitch of them into orbit with each baby. Oh, so long, sucker.
Well, I say stick it out. I can't. Maybe I blurred out the part where am I mentally blocked out the hopefully he just seduced the women, or kind of like they did it, or. But more likely it's the whole the Wonder Woman joke. Wonder Woman's topless sunbathing, and on top of the Justice League hall, and then Superman comes in real quick and then leaves, and the Invisible Man starts screaming. That joke. But it's like something like that. But if you have a writer artist where you got the singular vision, because I've seen. Have you ever seen the scripts that Alan Moore or Brian Bendis or even Grant Morrison has? Have these artists illustrate where it's
those scripts.
They're like totalitarian like.
Yeah, I don't like those scripts. That actually goes. My method goes completely against that, unless I'm illustrating it myself. Which Utopiates, by the way, I illustrated a lot of that. But for my work with Patrick McAvoy, The method is that we come to a very strong understanding. I give him a ass load of reference materials. I do the layouts, but he gets 100% freedom to interpret it. I want
that's how I am.
Yeah, we are a team. I cannot be a fascist and say no. It's got to be this way. What's the point? You've got all this talent there. Someone who has instincts that you don't. Let them use it.
Well, that's the thing about Marvel Comics, that plot method, which good and bad, because you had somebody like Stan Lee taking more credit than he was, like, oh, here's a plot, and then Kirby go off and create Galactus, and like, oh, what's this guy? And like, and that's the thing. Like, you give somebody enough leeway, and they can go out and create something new, and look at that, like, well, I created it too. It's like,
someday really. I'll have to tell you about the job I did at DC.
Oh God, yeah, that'd be for another time, I suppose, when you can actually talk about it. If there,
I can. I can totally talk about it.
Okay,
everyone's been fired. So.
Yeah,
you want to hear it?
Oh yes, shit, yeah, man.
Okay, I did a giant-sized Batman story. Kat and I were hired as the illustrators, and Mike Martz, the editor, was a saint. That guy had more patience than I believed humanly possible. That guy was nice, never lost his cool. The writer, who I won't name because I don't want to get sued, I swear to God, had borderline personality disorder, possibly with a drug addiction. That woman was nuts. And the rule in Marvel is you're not supposed to talk, or not Marvel, DC, you're not supposed to talk to the writer. The editor plays the intermediary between the two.
That's weird.
And this woman would be calling me up at like 3 a.m. saying, okay, Mike's not supposed to know this, but you know how he said he wants it this way? Change it to my way. It'll be our secret. I'm like, and I would wake up at 3 a.m. Hello? Hey, it's me. I was thinking about our,
And that's
creepy, man. That's really creepy. That's like,
it was creepy.
That is a crazy person.
Bizarre.
I will not be your Josh.
It's like, you will answer my calls.
She did kind of have that stalkery vibe to her, I'll be honest.
Who was she, Max?
Huh?
Who was she, Max?
No.
Well, like, cannot say legally. Probably better.
No, I know. I'm just.
I know.
He's just messing. He's just messing.
That's the thing. It's like one of those. Like, you get these people. Like, I understand the corporate structure. I understand that. I working. I worked as in a way. I worked security and it was kind of it was security in title, but it was a lot of other jobs combined too. Because of course, they don't want to pay me extra, so they had me doing other stuff, and I learned how to do people's jobs better than they did. And I would use that at times, like when I was feeling kind of pissed off, I would embarrass them by showing off and saying like, "Hey, look, I could do your job better." And it was nice. It actually felt pretty good. Even though it was like it still stung in the end. It was like burning myself to burn somebody else, but it's like hey, it worked. But seeing how a corporate structure is, and these people that have especially like in Marvel, DC, where you would think they're like, okay, we're gonna put out the best product ever, but like you've seen, Josh, yeah. That's not the case. That's like you got these people that they play favorites. It's like a clique. It's like high school. It's like that kind of the childish mentality. And a lot of these people, especially these editors, I don't have a source.
Which is why they hated Jim Shooter.
Well, that's the thing. Like Jim Shooter back in the day, like Jim Shooter was actually trying to right the wrongs that Marvel had done in the past. He was getting Kirby and the Kirby family back art that Marvel still had a hold of, because they'd have this. Basically, it was a room where they would keep all the art that would be sent in. The artist would send in the art, and then they keep it in a room. And like every 6 months, Ethan Van Sciver talked about this, where you'd either come pick it up or they would send it back to you like in a big old box. And so that art you could sell off. Well, back in the day, Marvel would keep that, and especially with the early Kirby stuff, like the Fantastic Four, and what people loved. They sold it. Like kind of, they would hand, like, instead of giving a delivery boy a tip, they'd give him a piece of original art, which now is like, if not hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, it's one of a kind. It's priceless for the most part. Well, not priceless, but it's hard to put a price on it depending on what it is, especially if it was like cover art or something. But Shooter was trying to right that wrong, but of course that didn't happen. And Ron Perlman, not the Hellboy guy, but a different guy, came in, and that's what then Marvel bought one of the distributors, and then they basically almost killed the direct market for the most part. And that's why we got Diamond as monopoly now. And Marvel and DC stepped in when the Department of Justice was going in to investigate Diamond as a monopoly, and basically said, guys, shut down your investigation. If you do this, we're going to all be screwed, and you're going to hurt a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be out of jobs. And so the Department of Justice said, okay, fine. They stopped their investigation. So, of course, justice, like there's no such thing as justice, but which is hilarious. People that put out superhero comics for a majority, they don't want justice to be found. They're the biggest criminals and supervillains to exist. But you had, like, I was talking years ago to Colleen Dorn, who did A Distant Soil. She'd done Orbiter with Warren Ellis through Vertigo. Lovely lady. Though she had some, she had stalkers because she was a young woman working in comics. And
hey. Mm-hmm. That's bullshit. I had a stalker.
Okay.
And that guy was creepy. But
okay, anyway. What I'm saying is, like, anybody could have a stalker for the most part, but she, like, and especially at your, it can, no matter what age, it can mess with your head. Like, if somebody said, I know where you live, Larry, I know exactly where you live, and I'm like, I'm gonna go grab my bandolier of shotgun shells, double-aught buck, put them around me, and have my shotgun with me all times, whether I'm cooking breakfast or whether I'm doing this. Probably not going down to the post office, but I'd walk around look like Rambo, like he's ready to. I'm like, anytime, any place, son. but you at the time, like, she and others, they were talking about how the indie market from, like, the mid 80s, early to mid 80s to even the early 90s, and these creator-owned these indie comics, they were putting out the numbers that Image does now, like 10, 15,000, and this stuff now, oh wow, this is a selling comic. I'm like, 18,000 copies for a Marvel book? What is this? This is pathetic. But this is like,
and in the 70s. Remember, in the 70s, Wonder Woman, 60,000, canceled.
Yeah. Same thing with the X-Men. They kept it in reprints, so you barely kept keeping it above cancellation. Yeah. Like,
now,
anyway,
here's the thing.
I'm going to tell you my stalker
we are
story.
talking about the big two, but they are not the only ones doing subpar work. Let me show you something, okay? Let me show you something really quick.
While you're getting that, you're saying something, Josh?
I was gonna unless you got any questions for me, I was gonna tell you my stalker story and then kind of head out.
Okay. Well,
unless you got any questions, do you guys have any industry specific questions or anything you want to know?
Yeah.
What, Jess?
So, what do you think is more profitable depending on the character? I was thinking about making a video later on. It seems like miniseries are really starting to become a bit better business decision than having ongoing comics, just because it'll have a wrapped up story. Do you think that's the case or no?
Well, again, it depends on the genre, and keep in mind, aside from that gig with DC, I never worked in superheroes. I mean, the truth is, I didn't come to this as a superhero fan. I came in by different ways. The first comic books I owned were actually Transformers, which kind of shows my age. But really, at this point, the only possibility of having an ongoing continuity is if you're one of the big two. Other than that, I would suggest if you want to do superheroes, do miniseries that are each a complete story, and you can bring the characters back for a sequel and another sequel, and that way the reader knows they're going to get a full story, and if there's demand for it, you can do another, and then another, like I'm doing with Arkham, where, CASEFILE Arkham, I had always planned to have multiple, but the first one was written as a complete story. If it never went anywhere else, there was never any other issues, it didn't matter. The reader would still have a book.
Yeah. So like what I was planning to do with my characters, with Florence Lupin, we were talking about exactly that. Do one miniseries, I don't know, 4 or 6 books maybe. We were talking about floppies.
Well,
Yes.
anyway, keep going.
No. Go ahead.
I don't know. Unless the market has radically changed, I really do believe that floppies are kind of a dead end and a profit loss for anyone who isn't on a major company.
So stick with the graphic novels, is what you're saying.
I mean, if you do like one floppy as a proof of concept to get people interested, and essentially it's something that you're going to sell at cost to get people interested in saying, yeah, if you like this, got a whole graphic novel. Yeah, that's really effective.
Or go digital.
What?
Or go digital.
Oh, yeah, digital's fine. Definitely go digital. Go digital anyway.
Okay, so you're saying do not print.
No. Print. Definitely print, because they're two different audiences.
Okay, no, but not floppies.
Don't print floppies. Do them digitally.
So you can go do the floppy, but in digital form, and print until the miniseries is complete.
Yeah, people are a lot more forgiving in that format if the floppies digitally are priced reasonably.
Around something like that, yeah.
Around a buck?
Around a buck.
Yeah. You see,
here's my
they're $5. It's like, this is digital. What the hell are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the stupidest thing too, is because like the way my mind is, because I'm cheap, right? So if I see a comic that's like $5, right, and I'm like, okay, I get it digitally. If I go into a comic book shop and go get, let's say the new issue of Red Hood and Outlaws, which if you haven't, check it out. Dexter Soy's art's pretty good. I get the physical floppy comic, and then I also get the digital code that I can just go type in Comixology. So I have the physical copy and the digital copy on comics. What's the point of spending $5 on a digital comic when I can spend the same amount of money for a physical and digital copy of the comic?
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what they're hoping you do.
Yes, exactly. They should. I know why they don't, but they should lower the price of the digital copies.
Well, that's the
they
thing.
Don't lower it because people pay it.
But also because they don't want to. They have a kind of a agreement with the stores, which they're in a way not helping in any way. Like, well, if if we charge half the price of the print, or even like $1.50 for a comic that you were charging $4 for, where you move more digital, but who's going to pay that? Well, you wait a couple months and it goes down in price or whatever. Like, no, I still can't own it. Let's even there's some like Image books and Image creator and the Comixology Submit, where you can download as a PDF or a CBZ or that kind of file and download the comic to your hard, whether your hard drive, whether it be laptop or tablet, whatever, and you can read it anytime. That's fine. I don't mind paying maybe $1 more for that kind of thing, or having where you can actually own it. I have this. This is mine. But then like a Marvel, DC, like why? What's the point? It's like that right there. You don't even own that. If there's some kind of contractual issue down the line, well, you paid money for that. Well, good luck. You're not getting a refund for it. You're not getting an alternative. Like, well, we had to take this book off the market. Well, here's $3 for you to go spend on another book. If they did that, maybe I'd be like, that's not too bad. I'd still rather have the book I bought.
But here's the thing, okay? If I buy it, I want it.
Well, that's the thing. You're not going to get it, though, if they do that.
And if they do that, then I don't have it. This is why I'm when I'm thinking about digital, I'm thinking about CBR or CDS or PDF.
Well, the thing with the digital comics
in your own web store.
Yeah.
Well, the thing to understand about digital comics is they really should be approached the same way the original floppies were, which was disposable entertainment. I mean, really, that's the way you've got to think about it. Is if you love the story, you're going to go get the graphic novel. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like a lot of these people don't realize that when you're going into getting comics, like a comic book store, especially for the first time, or I've actually tried to get people into comics, like the Southern Bastards, which is Jason Aaron, Jason Latour book from Image. It's about basically Southern fried justice. It's kind of I guess you call it It deals with football, barbecue, stuff like that. It's kind of, even though it takes place in Alabama, it hits close enough to home. I kind of knew where they're coming from, but it's the good comic. It's really good. It's like really like it kind of feels like a I guess you could call it a antebellum noir.
Cool.
It's a really good. It's very heavy on crime and very dark, very dark, but beautiful though, very beautiful. But it is kind of hard to justify that on a regular basis, considering it's like, why should I pay the individual for the floppies like you were saying, or just wait for the collection?
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with something from a corporation where you have, like the series ain't going to end anytime soon. Like, X-Men's going to go away forever. No, it's going to keep going. So wait for the trades. But you have some of these where I understand where they want to put out. They can't. I really think Marvel, not Marvel, but the comics in general should go the European method, the 40, 60 page story, the graphic albums. We're talking about,
I love those.
There's Inkai Bilal. Anything Inkai Bilal I picked up a couple years back. Diamond was actually there was comics.
I would kill if they could ever finish or give a U.S. version of Dormant Beast.
I never read that.
That one is amazing, and they never finished it in the U.S. It pisses me off.
Well, I was able to get the Nikopol trilogy,
Hunting
cool. Party, all this stuff. Like Diamond was having this clearance, like these things for like 50 cents. They had the Ouvroir,
that's because they couldn't sell them in comic stores.
The Drew Struzan all his movie posters.
Yeah,
for $1.50. The book for $1.50, and like that's the thing. Like they couldn't sell them in comic stores, but the Nikopol trilogy, everything Inkai Bilal, I got everything Inkai Bilal that Diamond had for less than $20, and the retail for that stuff would be like 150 or more.
I know. I'm sitting on them on my Amazon account. Eventually, I'll get them all.
Exactly. It's like you gotta catch them all.
His art's amazing, and his writing is just as good.
Oh, exactly. And then like it was good enough to make a movie out of, and that was actually a pretty good movie. It wasn't a great movie, but it was pretty good. But when comics in general, like you're saying, they should focus on either 40, 60, like under 100 pages. I say maybe no more than 120. But like basically what CASEFILE Arkham is. That about page count, like 200-300 pages. I've seen so many people. I'm gonna do a graphic novel, and like how many pages is gonna be? 400 pages. I'm like, you're never gonna get it done.
Hey guys, I just interject this real quick. I've been looking up some books while you were talking. Okay, I just now realized that the Nathan Never covers are by Arthur Adams, and that makes sense. I just now realized this cover artist is Arthur Adams. You
want to hear something funny? We were talking about earlier about the prices back in the 40s, like say 10 cents for a comic. 10 cents for a comic in January of 1940 would equate to $1.77 in December of last year. So $1.77. Well, exactly. That's basically what Alterna sells their books for. And like they said, they sell the books for that. So when the collections come out, they've already got this kind of word of mouth. You can pick up the first issue for $1.50. You're not really hurting. And so, hey, you like crime? You like your horror? You like kind of like a lot of their stuff. Not too much superhero. I know they got the Amazing Age, but they focus on these properties. Like they got some science fiction, post-apocalyptic with Scrimshaw and a couple other things. But they put their stuff out there. So when the collections come out, it's already got a word of mouth, and they're probably going the same route the Image does, where the book collections aren't $20, $30, $40 like everybody else does, which is the stupidest thing. Like you got your
turns you away.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here in Mexico, the Spanish ones, the DC Comics translated, yes, the translations are 44 pesos. That's around $2,
which is cheaper than the U.S., which is just insane.
Yes.
Well, did you know that the first installment of CASEFILE Arkham, Horror on the Canvas, hardbound, is $14.99?
That's a good deal.
That would be $30 if it was from anywhere else. And you know what's funny? There's this. If y'all are into like really cool sci-fi stuff, I don't know if y'all are into Kim Jungus's art. The Super Annie artist.
Yes.
I don't know that person.
I love Hans.
Hans Olo's art. He's one of the Super Annie artists, and Kim Jong-is. He's another guy, Bengal, I think, does art similar to that. There's this comic I posted it, originally. It's hardbound. I think it's like $14 as well, somewhere around there. And the art is all in color and everything. It's called Mecha, M-E-K-A. If you're into like that Gundam Evangelion type crazy stuff, and they have a lot of other comics that have that type of art, and they're self-contained stories, like y'all mentioned. It's by the Magnetic collection. I'll try to post the link, but so many times I've been trying to put links in the chat, and it doesn't like it for whatever reason. It grays it out.
Send it to me in Twitter, and I'll put it in the description.
Hey guys, I'm going to take off. But
all right, Josh.
Well, it was a pleasure.
Thanks for coming, man.
Definitely, it was good talking to you guys. I'd love to do it again sometime.
Yes,
we gotta have you again sometime.
We too.
All right.
Have you here?
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right. Bye.
All right.
Bye. But
well, here's the thing. I'm an old fart. Okay.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, I know. You knew. And I love my comic books, and I love to have my comic books. I never was the kind to buy it and throw it away. Maybe because I was because of my grandpa, who was a heavy reader. Okay, so and I think that many people are like that. And a good book is it's like an old friend. You can go back and visit.
I feel the same way. I actually
the same goes with good comic books. You know.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like
so if you can't have it,
and that's the thing. Like you get these comics that like they stick with you, and like. They're almost second. They're not saying necessarily second skin, but they're a part of you. Your blood, sweat, and tears. Even if you didn't create it, it's with you. Good times, bad times, all that. But that's one of those things about comics. Like you keep them with you.
Yes, exactly. And you go back and read it once and twice and thrice. So. That's why I'm thinking if the industry goes digital, it should be in a way that I can have it in my PC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what
CBR or CBC or PDF or EPUB even. Yeah,
exactly. I want the option to actually have that wherever I go. Like if I'm paying for it, I want to actually be carry it.
Yes,
carry it around.
And here's the thing, I can lend it to you. No, it should not have the DRM.
Yeah, DRM is a joke. I mean, considering what like.
And you take it off in seconds.
Yeah, and like if you really wanted to pirate something, you're going to pirate it. There's nothing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but
especially in Mexico.
Oh yes.
Oh, we are specialists.
Australia is too. I know Australia is really because Australia the prices down there. My friend Antonio said he'd sent me an image from one of the local comic stores. It's about a 20-30 minute drive. Actually, it's actually closer to about 45 because of traffic.
And the snakes and the spiders and.
Hey guys, yeah, I know. Not to cut y'all off, but I'm gonna have to head off.
All right, Braylon.
It was fun. Yeah, head out.
All right, man. You take care. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you again soon, mate.
Have a good night and send me that stuff in
Oh yeah, I sent it to you. Also put it in the chat if anyone wants to check out the book's name is Mecha. So
but the chat gets lost once we finish.
Oh yeah,
so
it does.
Put it in the description.
All right, cool. Yeah, I did both. Okay. So I'll catch y'all.
All right, man.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Take care.
All right. But yeah, it's like and like you were saying, like I mean, the snakes and everything, but like it's $6-7 a copy, Australian dollars, which is about the same as American. at this one shop. If you go to like a news agency, a newsstand, you're talking $11, $12, $13 for a single issue floppy comic.
Fuck me, really?
I am not kidding you. And I've sent like it's cheaper.
Well, I wouldn't pay it.
Well, that's the thing. He really doesn't, and I don't blame him because it's like like every now and then I would get him. Like you can gift people stuff on Comixology. You can buy something and gift it to them, and I would do that occasionally because it was cheaper than. And they even charge you they put extra tax on digital purchases.
Fuck.
Australia is. I mean, there's parts of it look beautiful. I'd love to go visit there one day. You know, he's like, oh, go get some kangaroo meat.
Oh yes. Go
but yeah, that right there is like because they have to be imported in, and that's just the most insane thing. It's like I understand there's some taxes, there's gonna be some like cost, but that much no, it would be cheaper. It would be cheaper to print them yourself. It'd be cheaper to have your own little print shop or something. But with comics, like speaking with Josh about the floppy thing, I've been working on a new project, and I'm been debating like. I actually I've been doing thumbnails for it, like, working on the comic. And I was already done thumbnails for it was supposed to be about 3 issues, about 20 pages each, 3 issues. Initially it was going to be 16 because I was going to print it myself because I found that using a photocopier, believe it or not, a Staples photocopier, it looks better than most of these it looks better than actually all the print on demand services I've ever seen. And I like the quality. The blacks are very rich. The colors look good. It's not the perfect colors, but it has almost like that kind of retro, like where their covers, they look like they're about 20, 30 years old. The sun might have got to it, little dinged and stuff, whatever. It's fine. But actually, I could print off better looking covers, but it was just a kind of test thing. But it's still more affordable for me to do it myself, to print it up myself at a photocopy place, to take care of it, be about ash can size, 5.5 inches by 8.5, and do it a 60-page, basically graphic, novel. Like, it's not 100+ pages, but 60 pages is about what a lot of those European novels are, the albums, and even some of the what do you call it, like the Belgian ones too, like the 1010 stuff. They're not that big either. They're not you're not dealing with 200-300 pages.
You are into all kinds of books, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Do you know Lucky Luke?
I do not. Which one's that one? Is that a
Spanish?
Is that Spanish? Oh, so it's
Spanish,
Spanish, not Mexican, right?
No, Spanish. No, I'm Mexican, but I'm not Spanish.
No. I'm saying it's like it's not Mexican in origin, but it's Spanish in origin. Correct.
Yeah. Lucky Luke, it's fun as hell.
I'm gonna have to look that up then.
And Mortadelo y Filemón.
Well, that's the thing. I'll read about just about anything. I pick up comics across the world. I got 2 of my books I picked up. I was looking. One of them was lucky enough it was a find at my comic book store. The other one I actually had to buy off of eBay and get it shipped from Europe. And it had one was Tintin in the Land of the Soviets, which is actually the first Tintin adventure where he goes into the Soviet Union.
Oh.
And that is one of the stories that's not reprinted in those smaller Tintin, the Adventures of Tintin collections. And the other one is Tintin in the Congo, which is a extremely controversial book because not only was it well, that's the thing. It's like it is insane because it's like, yes, it's a sign of the times, but it's one of those. It's one of those projects. Like, I understand where people will be offended by it, but you have to take offense. Like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well,
this isn't all the.
Here's the thing, okay? If we're going to start getting offended by things 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years old, we're fucked.
Exactly.
We have to burn it all. Now, Canales is correcting me. Lucky Luke is French.
Okay, French. Okay.
The same writer of Asterix.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. It sounds a little familiar because
it's a cowboy.
Oh, it's a cowboy.
It's a cowboy, faster than his own shadow.
Well, have you ever read or heard of Blueberry, Lieutenant Blueberry?
Oh yes, that's great.
Oh, that's a great. I mean, that's Mobius, and I love that.
Man, I have a few.
You know those books? You know what's so crazy about it? Those comics were coming out in the 60s. That's how great those books are. The 1960s.
And did you ever read Hombre?
Which one's that one? Is that Mobius as well, or a different creator?
I don't remember who is.
I might actually have to look that
but
up.
That's the name, Hombre.
Hombre. Okay.
Yeah.
But
That's the name.
like a lot of these, but that's the thing. A lot of these comics, like, they understood you actually tell a story and you're done. Now the British with the 2000 AD, I don't know if you ever read any of the 2000 AD comics, but like Judge Dredd. But when they would do stuff, like they would serialize these stories. Well, not all of them were serialized. You get some of these Judge Dredd stories. It's 5 pages, and it's done.
Yes.
Like, that's like some of the one-off stories, but a lot of them were serialized, part 1 of 12 or what have you. Especially like the Apocalypse War or Block War? No, it was Apocalypse War came after. It was like when the blocks were attacking each other because of a chemical leak. But you had other stuff too, like the Dark Judges and what have you. But the European, the mainland Europe, the British don't like to be called Europeans, but that they understood beginning, middle, end, everything in one book, and that's how it should be. But when you got American comics, I mean, you got so many. Like, look how many are filler. Look at how many, even the stuff that's not Marvel DC. You're talking creator-owned books, because that's what they were weaned on. That's what they learned how to tell their. They grew up reading hero comics, superhero comics, and they pad out their horror stories and stuff. Certain books.
Yes.
And one in particular, I mentioned earlier, BPRD. Now, I enjoyed some BPRD, but a lot of it is padded out. It's usually they're about 4 or 5 issues. I think some of them are about 6, but it's really only 2 issues of story at most. They're not compressed. They're so decompressed. And I love Hellboy. I love Mike Mignola, but a lot of the Hellboy stuff is decompressed. And like, I understand you want to lavishly have like a full page splash of Hellboy jumping into a pit or something along those lines, or battling skeletons, whatever. But is that really needed? Like, you don't have to go 16 panels per page to super compress a story, but you guys say, little give and take, know. And that's another thing. It's like a lot of these comics, these people, they go to art school. There was a comic that came out, and I was reading it, and I was hoping it would get better. And there was a time when I was picking up comics where because other people were reading it, and like, oh, you need to read this, Larry, you need to read this. So I was reading it, and it wasn't clicking with me. One in particular was a book called Girls, and it's about this guy who lives in a town. The town, these naked women show up, and they are like clones or something, aliens. But the art and the coloring and the writing, everything is substandard. And at the time, I didn't want to admit that to myself. I'm paying $3 a pop for this. It was an Image book. The Luna Brothers, and they went to Savannah College of Art and Design. That was a school I actually wanted to go to, but I found out how much it cost. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to afford that. So I didn't go. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it's like, that's I don't know if they've gotten better. I have avoided their work because being that, and there was another book that they called Ultra, which is basically, it's Sex in the City, but with superheroes. That's it. That's all it had going on. But the decompression is a big problem in comics. But with the European stuff, they don't joke around. Actually, that means I got to pick up, there's a book I've dug up. It was an individual.
Let me show you.
Okay.
Canales told me it's Segura and Ortiz, the creators of Hombre. Let me show you. I found a picture, and I don't know where is it. Fuck. Fuck me. Wait. Wait. Let me.
But yeah, that's like, with these comics, I mean, you got to have a little bit of
now I have it. I'm going to show you a couple of images.
Oh God! Please let me.
First, this one, the Hombre.
All right.
Yeah. Let me share the screen.
Okie dokie.
This one. Yeah. And now, so everybody can see it.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen this before.
It's Mad Max. Kinda.
Okay.
Okay. It's a post-apocalyptic world. It's great stuff. Great stuff. for grown-ups.
I might actually have to take a look at this. This looks really good.
Okay, now this is one. Now let me show you the other one I wanted you to see. It's this one.
All right.
We were talking about the big two doing shoddy work. Yes, subpar work. This is a new comic. It's from a small press. It's called Galacticon. The cover looks nice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very well. Now look at this.
I have a feeling. I two things. You gave me Steve Mannion and that the woman, the woman on the cover. I think she's a colorist. Marissa Louise. I think if that's who I think it is. Oh yeah, it's like that. Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay. I know the heavy metal, but what about the interiors of that book? That Galacticon.
It's shit. The book.
Yeah,
is
well. The thing about it is, Steve Mannion, a friend of mine, did tried to get me. Steve Mannion put out this book called The Bomb, or The Bomb Queen. Bomb. No, Bomb. It was Bomb. And so this kind of like very tongue-in-cheek cheesecake, female art. And I bought the issues from the store, the online store, digital store. I used PayPal and everything. Issues never came. Contacted the guy directly. Oh, and so like I just gave up. Whatever. I'm not going to fight. Like it was like $7-8. Like whatever. I forget it. That's like me picking up dinner and dropping it in the rain or something. Like, oh, okay, whatever. You might get upset for a bit, but whatever. Just move on. It ain't worth it. But that Marissa Louise, that sounds familiar. I think she popped up in my feed a couple of times. But like I was saying about the compression, there is a comic called Universal War 1. It is a Marvel did years ago. They had this joint venture with Soleil, which is a French publisher, and they were putting out these.
I know Soleil.
Comics.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So they put out this comic, and it is extremely dense. It's like 40 pages, but it is packed full. Like you could tell it was initially supposed to be the page size was at least 9 by 12, if not more.
Soleil is published a book called Mjolnir. However the fuck do you pronounce that?
Well, they also did Dolls too. Not Dolls.
No, Mjolnir. Let me put it in the.
Mjolnir. I know.
Yeah,
Mjolnir,
that one.
Thor's hammer. Yeah.
They published it in 2013 and then in 2016 the third part. It's 3 books. It's great, man. It's a great book. I want to find more things from them.
Well, they do good comics, but that's the problem. Like, getting them, a lot of them in like English, and getting a lot of them here, you have to go through like Amazon. You ain't gonna find them in a comic store. But that's another thing. You have to, and in many ways, you have to make the comics. You have to make the comics you kind of want to see, because a lot of these people, like, I want a good adventure comic. I came up with this idea for this kind of Indiana Jones like adventure story, and kind of more akin to, upping the fantasy bit, like where like you get where the Shankara stones, or the Lost Ark, or you get the Cup of Christ. That'd be a little bit more fantastical, like maybe more along the lines, say like Tomb Raider a little bit.
Yes,
and I want to do something like that, but the problem is, it's like I was like, okay, how do I do this in an individual issue? But now with the whole Josh is planting the idea of the graphic novel, or at least between a 40 and 60 page story that I could do myself, planting that in my head. So thanks, Josh.
That's a good idea.
But that's the thing. It's like you can actually do like a story and then go that kind of like you said, that European route. But with comics, like I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Did you see the Ethan Van Sciver tweet from earlier today about he was kind of decrying the idea of lists and don't be like these people. Comics are for everybody. What did you think of that? Did you see it? Or first off, did you see it?
Say again.
It was the Ethan Van Sciver tweet where he was decrying people like making lists.
No, I saw one from Diversity.
Okay, well, this one, it was, I'll read it verbatim. Let me find it real quick. Okay, Ethan Van Sciver from 6 hours ago. Quote, boycott list makers, ? Unquote. Knock it off. Comics are for everyone. Making lists of pros who should be avoided runs counter to everything you profess to believe in and everything I stand for. No more lists.
Well,
no more bothering people you disagree with. Be better, Uncle Ethan.
Here's the thing, okay? It might be against anything he stands for.
Mhm.
I don't have a problem with that. He has all the right in the world to think and believe and act as he wishes. I'm all for nobody going bother anybody, going harass anybody, don't threaten anybody. But here's the thing, a list like that, the only problem I have with it is how it was presented, because it made everybody look bad in for the presentation, not the idea in itself. Okay, those are toxic people. You shouldn't be giving them your money.
Exactly, and especially if they blocked you. If they've blocked you or called you bigots, racist, Nazis, that kind of thing. Yes, reward them, blindly reward them. Well, if it's a good book, it doesn't matter who the person is. Yes, it does matter.
No, yes,
it's like okay. I have a issue with...
Do you think you would buy a product from a Nazi?
Yeah, exactly.
A real Nazi.
Yeah, exactly. Heinrich Himmler's memoirs. Would you buy that?
Yes,
no.
exactly.
Exactly. No.
Well, maybe that.
Okay. Well, yeah, it'd be educational.
Maybe that. But I mean, a real live now neo-Nazi.
Or a Nazi war
really
criminal.
Wants to kill Jews, for instance.
Yeah, Nazi war criminal. Somebody living down in Argentina on a life support.
For instance, yes.
Comics. But yeah, it's like, and that's the thing. But,
or do you think a black person should buy or would buy something from a white supremacist?
Well, there's probably some in there and make comics that they keep their...
Well, maybe yes.
They know, but yeah,
do you
out now. Yeah, exactly, an out and out.
Do you think that Braylon has the right to tell other black people that X person is really a white supremacist?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he
okay.
Freedom of speech.
These people are saying, I am a white supremacist. These people are saying, I am a bigot. These people are saying, I am a Nazi. Well, fuck them. They don't get my money. And I'm going to tell everybody why.
And that's the thing. There are certain people, and I understand where Ethan's coming from. He's trying to be kind of the peacemaker. I get that. He can't really get his hands dirty. He's probably gotten a talking to from DC and all this and that, whatever.
Yeah,
so he can't really get his hands dirty.
Yeah.
But the idea...
I don't want him to.
Exactly. And the thing about it is, like, and it really, the only thing it would do would just make, it's like, if they truly take him down, let's say DC Comics comes out and says, we are severing all ties with artist Ethan Van Sciver.
They will find themselves.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there would be a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
Eventually it would die down. And that's the problem. They would wait it out, because at the end of the day,
because at the end of the day, Edwin Boyette has all the reason in the world. We not we, but many of us are fans of the company. Okay, they are Marvel zombies and DC bots, and okay, and they buy because it's DC or they buy because it's Marvel. Now, if you are a consumer, a customer, then you go, fuck you. I don't have to pay you. I don't have to buy your product.
But that's my thing, is to actually invoke change. The idea of the list, I supported it for a bit, and then I realized because
it looks bad.
Like that.
It looks bad.
It looks bad, and it's like you can point out, see these people. This is what Nazis do. They round people, that kind of thing. They could point at that. But the issue is to fight. You have to get have to get down in the mud with them at times. It's to take the high ground. Like there's been people
exactly
to take the high ground.
Exactly. But
unless you have money, where or like see, Eighth Man Skyver could lose his gig in DC tomorrow. There would be ton of you can make a lot of money with commissions. There'd still be people that would pay him a lot of money to either draw their creator-owned comics or do commissions. The guy is not going to be hurting for money anytime soon, I don't believe. I think he'd play it smart enough, and either if he signed up with that Vox Day or what have you, any of these people, he'd find a way. Like life finds a way.
Yes.
But where you have these people these communists, this is like Nicaragua in the 80s, or even Colombia during like the Escobar.
Yes.
You need basically communist hunters to fight these people. You actually have to want them fired. I don't want nobody to lose their job. Yes, you do, because if you don't, you're not going to get rid of these people. Just boycotting is not going to cut it. You need to contact these people. Screen cap. I promote.
We need a letter writing campaign.
Physical media they cannot ignore. Whether it's a standard letter or even a greeting card size, something, write it in. I had this idea, and I was going to put it out there and get in touch with a couple people. But this sounds like I'm part of me is I'm fighting an internal struggle. I want to be with this, but I'm also vehemently against it. The idea of taking these screen caps and printing them out, and then putting them in envelopes, like folding them up, putting them in envelopes, screen caps that like say Visaggio saying, "Yes, I support piracy. Let's bash cis white people's skulls in," that kind of thing. Send that to, editor-in-chief, Marvel Comics, care of whatever, that kind of thing.
And send it to some newspaper. Someone
exactly. And then send like, this writer works for this writer. Send it to Hasbro. Send one to Hasbro saying, "Oh, I'd rather be writing socialism." So you'd rather have a communist write your G.I. Joe comic, that kind of thing. But to do that, you have to be like them. And at the end of the day, like I look at back, okay, you look at these wars. When people fight wars, do you think they come away like when you're fighting the Japanese over in Japan in the Pacific Theater, World War II, where you are brutally killing people, going into caves with flamethrowers and burning people alive? Do you think like, yeah, we had a victory?
Here's the thing, okay?
It's victory.
Many of us, if you care to look at, many of the people on our side are deeply Christian. Okay, and some of the things they would have to do go against everything they believe in.
Exactly, and me being.
But here's the thing: they either do it or they are fucked. Because if they don't fight until the cancer is gone, they will find themselves living in Sweden.
Yeah, well, in a comic book version of Sweden, exactly, grenade attacks all the time. But that's the thing; you actually have to decide.
No. I mean, United States turning into Sweden.
Oh, I'm talking about the comic. I'm talking about the kind of.
No, I'm talking about everything. Politics, it's downstream from culture. Okay, first you have to destroy the culture, to change the Overton window, to move the Overton window to the left, to make certain things more palatable, to normalize pedophilia.
Oh, that right there, anybody that brings that up, I've known about 5 people in the past month to be
here's
spending.
The thing, okay?
Oh my God, we're going against those people.
Any pedo that is really proven to be a pedo, and I'm against some laws you have there, where drawing, it's considered child porn. That's fuck up. That's crazy. But actual child porn or a pedophile, 45 to the head.
Well, see, that's the thing. You get these people that actually go and defend. Like, I look at it this way: to get like, there's those articles. I think it was Salon put one out a couple years back. I'm probably wrong on that, but that whole idea of, well, just because they're a they have pedophilic tendencies doesn't make them a monster. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Because
yes. At the end of the day, if you want to be a serial killer,
yeah,
you have the personality, all the traits. it doesn't matter if you haven't killed anybody yet. Doesn't mean I want to get you in jail before you do a crime, but you shouldn't be able to walk like anybody else, just like that. If we know that you are at risk to becoming that, you know. And the thing with pedophiles, okay, a pedo is not a child molester yet.
That's not yet. Yeah, that's the problem. Yet.
But here's the thing, okay? If they would be allowed an outlet without hurting children, I'm all for it. Some people went up in arms when they were producing sex dolls in child form.
Yeah, that's just.
But well, yes, I found it sick, but I rather a pedo fucking the doll than fucking a child.
But that's the problem. It's like, okay, to me, I look at that like, okay, you got a stray coming around your house. Oh well, just a little bit here and there. That it'll keep it from meowing and keeping you up at night. But eventually, it'll keep coming back, and eventually, it's just not going to be enough. And that right there, it's.
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Here's the thing. Okay. When the porn was in the internet is full of porn, free porn for everybody. Now, here's the thing: the rape went down. Go check it out.
Well, there's another.
If you can masturbate, then you have an outlet. You know?
It's funny you speak of that. There's a documentary called "Some Call Me Lucky." It is about this comedian named Barry Crimmins. Now, Barry Crimmins, he was sexually abused at a young age.
Oh, fuck!
And so he is like one of these. He wants to just beat the living, extremely anti-pedos.
Yeah. I know.
Well, during the 90s, when you had the internet was coming about, these pedos would go into these chat rooms and groom young children.
Yes, I know.
He actually testified at Congress, the United States Congress, trying to get them to actually do something because a lot of these internet companies were making so much money off of. Because back then you actually
here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing: the politicians, and elites are into it too.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at these people.
Look at the Pope. Look at the Pope.
Well, especially Benedict.
Yeah. Fuck them.
Yeah, but that's the. Let's keep away from the Catholic stuff.
Look at the politicians in your country. Look at the politicians. In my country, there was a scandal about it not so long ago. Okay? So, if we're going to fight it, we need to change the culture. And you can't change the culture without getting your hands dirty right now.
Everybody gets a helicopter ride.
Yeah, kind of. Not really. Not that extreme. But you have to resort to some tactics that you will find not to go really, really well with
your morals.
But
it'll conflict with your morals, definitely.
Yes,
because you're
but
going
here's the thing. If you say you can't joke about this thing because you will get banned, and then you go and make the same joke, is it hypocritical of me to make you live under your own rules?
Yeah, it's stupid.
We are not the ones that want these rules. They are. So fuck them, make them live under the same rules.
That's like the idea of a select minority, and a select minority, the social justice warriors, the blue hairs, what have you. These people that they have a lot of money to spend, a lot of money to prop up candidates because they don't have kids. They have cats. They have.
I don't really think that most of them really have money.
Well, the ones especially in tech, when you have you can.
Well, yes, those ones.
Well, and pretty much anybody living in San Francisco at this point is to live there. You got to have a lot of money. But you get to these people that San Francisco, New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, and even Austin, Texas, for that matter, even Miami. You can say Miami, Atlanta too, if you want to. Like, but these places are dictating what the rest of the country and, for lack of a better word, like kind of the Western world goes towards.
That's the beauty of your political system.
And that's and that right there. And the idea of, if you look back at the way this country was founded, a very bloody, brutal way, because the United States was not founded upon gentlemanly warfare.
No country was.
No, well, that's the thing. Like, they would maintain, like, say, like the French would fight the British in a gentlemanly way, what have you. But when the Americans were fighting the British, with the help of the French, of course, because we can't forget that part, we were killing commanders, lieutenants, generals, that kind of thing. We would go after them to disrupt the ranks. That was considered that was terrorism. America is really a country by terrorists for terrorists. And I love it, though. But that's the thing. I love America.
Look,
and there's a lot of people that don't.
You can't fight a superior enemy under the rules.
Yeah, okay? And by the rules.
Why you couldn't ever wipe out the
Taliban?
Not the Taliban, the ones
the Viet Cong.
No. The ones the Russians had problems with too.
Oh, the Afghans, the Afghanis. Yeah, the Taliban, the Afghans. Well,
is the Taliban?
Well, that was actually they were Afghanis in general. The Mujahideen.
Yes, that ones. Well, they were in caves.
But you know why the Russians were able to be defeated? Because of an American politician named Charlie Wilson and his wife got involved with the CIA. They were part of that propaganda. You remember that Time Life photo with the woman with the very bright eyes? The magazine, like this Afghani woman she's got these very bright eyes. Yes. It was propaganda. And the whole idea to make you feel bad for the Afghanis. So what we do? We sent CIA and special forces to go train up the Mujahideen, and the Mujahideen and the Islamic fighters. A part of their.
I know.
But that's the thing. We basically caused what happened. We unintentionally caused what happened with the USS Cole.
What's happening
now? Exactly. Yeah. Because if we'd let the Russians to their devices, they would have just bled out eventually, or defeated Afghanistan, which I don't know if that would happen. But either way, just leave it alone. Let it happen, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to us. They can have Afghanistan, fine, but we can go on the defensive. And the idea of getting involved in these countries and stuff. And I'm one of these people. I'm an anti-interventionalist.
I think the only way you should be getting involved is when you're allies.
But that's
Israel, Japan.
Well, Japan, like Israel, you know about Japan, right? Japan was an isolationist country. We showed up, and we basically told him, okay, we got a ship here. You're going to open up trade within a year. If you don't, and we basically created the Empire of Japan. We gave, and that right there, we've caused our own problems by getting involved. Look at Israel. Israel gets formed. The British lied to the nomadic people, the nomadic Bedouins, like the Islamic Bedouins that were during World War I. Hey, we'll help you out, and then of course they didn't. And the Jews were buying up land, and to form Israel, and then if it wasn't for the United States supporting them financially, militarily, and that kind of thing, tech wise, kind of logistically, and like kind of watching out, like kind of I got your back, bro. That kind of thing.
Here's the thing, okay? The Jews need their state because they are being persecuted everywhere, even today. You go watch the French Jews running away from France because,
France is a mess to begin with,
because they are letting in millions of Muslims, of course.
Well, if you think it's bad now, just wait until if the EU if the EU actually gives Turkey the full EU status. Because if they do
that shouldn't happen ever.
Well, Ederson, that guy, Okay.
Ever. I am hoping the EU goes belly up before
Yeah.
that.
I hope so too, because out there, honestly, I know these people.
It's
I know,
a supranational anti-democratic organization.
exactly. They don't care about individuals; they care
No.
about the group collective, and
No, they care about their wallets.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The group collective, which is the money, But you look at people like Poland and Hungary, that they're standing out against it, and they're getting like
And I watch them, and you know what I think? As a Spanish citizen,
Mhm.
you go Poland.
Yeah, get out of even though Poland has
way.
issues. Poland has issues, but get out of your own. Yeah, just leave while you can, because this is only going to get worse. And it's just these people, they want America to be the same way. Like I don't know if you have the same issues in Mexico, but here,
not yet.
I was going to say the medical, like people, a lot of these artists and writers complain about, well, why can't America have, like, Canada has free healthcare? It's not free. They pay 50% tax. They pay so you make, say, 20, 30, you make 30,000 a year, 15 of that goes to taxes.
We have here people making 5 minimum salaries who don't pay a single cent in taxes.
Well, that's how it is here for the most part. If you make under a certain amount, you don't pay any taxes.
And we have the almost universal healthcare right now, and I don't know how they are going to keep paying it, because it's a scam.
It's a scam. It's like it's one of those what they call feel-good measures. It
Yes.
feels good to say, "Oh, I have universal healthcare." You look at these people that are when they have when somebody has cancer in Canada, they get cancer treatments up there. Hell no, they come into the United States and get them, because
Exactly.
And you have these,
and the same people here that are talking, oh no, we should do this, we should do that. They go to Houston to get their medical care.
They come, and another thing is, like, a lot of these people. There was a guy. He was Australian, not my friend, but another guy. And he's like, well, you Americans, you don't have, like, you can spend all that money on defense because we're defending the world. We defend Australia. We defend you guys. Canada, we defend them. Mexico, for the most part, we defend, because somebody messed with the Gulf, either side.
You are fucking with us.
Come on.
Yes.
But,
where do you think the cartels buy their weapons?
Well,
from Russia?
Well, of course they buy them. They get them from the Justice Department. They get them from Eric Holder.
And now tell me this: why can't we legalize drugs here in Mexico?
Because it makes too much money for black operation.
Exactly, because you don't want us to.
But
the people are dying here, not there.
Yeah, well, that's rough down there.
And man, I love you, man. Okay, it's nothing against the American people.
Politics.
It's
Yeah,
the government.
Yeah, it's the politics and the government. I totally get it. But my thing is, back to the healthcare thing. Canada, 30 million people. Australia, 30 million people. United States, close to 400 million. Yeah, like 300, 400 million, and that's not including undocumented. And and people think, like, a lot of it's like, oh, you're just talking about people from Mexico. No, Guatemala, El Salvador, like going even down to South America, because even China, you get a lot of these undocumented Chinese in. Koreans too, but not as many Koreans. It meant a lot of Chinese. They'll hop. Same thing with Indians. They'll hop visas. They'll get in here. They'll come in through.
And the thing is, they talk wonderful about Canada. Canada has a point system immigration. That is what Trump wants to do.
Yeah.
Australia, point system immigration.
You come in illegally, they kick your ass right out.
Yes.
They catch you. And
like
that's
they should. They should. Like we should, and we are not doing it.
Well,
because we're stupid. We have here, I don't know how many thousand maras, making who knows how many problems for people, killing people. You know how they are.
Yeah.
Not all people from El Salvador are maras. Okay, I know, but we are chock full with maras right now.
Yeah.
And we should either kill them or send them back.
Well, am I mistaken? But it doesn't. I remember reading, and maybe it was BS, but I was pretty sure about this. The Mexican government will give people, if you turn somebody on terror, like you catch, like say, some fat American comes across the border wanting to live down on the beach somewhere in the middle of nowhere, Mexico, lives on the beach, Cancun. But you find them, you turn them into the government, you get a reward, right?
I don't know.
I think that's. I remember reading that someplace. I'm like, but if they did that to the States, you just have a bunch of rednecks
I don't know.
driving around
If they
grabbing
did,
people.
there wouldn't be any illegals here.
Well,
But here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. Hear me out. This is a law. Okay, here in Mexico, if you come here illegally, you have right to healthcare. You have right to education.
That's how it is here.
No. Illegally.
No, that's what I'm saying. We had California, North Carolina.
Okay, yes, but they are going against federal law.
Yeah, federal, but that's the thing. Federally, they're breaking the law, but the states will protect them.
But here's the thing. This is not a state matter. It's a federal matter. Okay? Because the stupids made what the ONU wanted and made it a law that you can't treat different people because of their migration status. Okay? So we have here people, for instance, the people from Haiti that came not so long ago, around 1,000, I think, or more. They come here, they have never paid taxes, and they get the rights, and that's fucked.
Well, they're trying to, like, I don't know if you
I'm not saying we shouldn't maybe let them in. Maybe we could let some in and help them, but but not with full rights like a tax-paying citizen, you know.
Yeah, it's like
if the state isn't protecting the citizens, the state has no reason to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not protecting the citizens' rights, and you're dealing with,
okay.
It's a tough thing.
Here's the thing: you can't change that unless you change the culture. You need to move the Overton window to the right. Okay, because right now you can't even have this kind of conversations without someone saying you're a racist.
Yeah. Well, right now, like I read something the other day, and apparently it's true. BostonHerald.com. Boston City Council president pushes for non-citizen voting. So non-citizens, like basically whether you're illegal, you don't have you're not a full citizen. But that's the thing. Stupid. They could put people that are sympathetic to their cause in power, and
exactly.
But Boston.
And here's the thing, okay? The voting ID.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Democrats keep saying it's racist. Here in Mexico, we have voting IDs for over 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Everybody has to get it.
If you want to vote, that's the same thing here. It's supposed to be that way all over.
Here's the thing. It's a requisite to get a job.
Yeah, it's like it just.
So everybody has it. It's free. But you have to be a citizen.
Well, when you're dealing with these people, it's hard to actually speak rationally towards them because they get emotional about this. And the only thing they have is that emotions. They don't have reasons. They don't have facts. They don't have logic. Well, a lot of them are freaking communists, for the love of God. I mean, these people, they don't want to actually have to. The idea. I mean. When you meet somebody, like say, okay, being a person seasoned in your years, as it were, you've met many people where, like whether you meet them at a party or meet them out in public, going someplace, like, oh, you're at the newsstand grabbing a magazine or something, and like, oh, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing, whatever. You don't have that person say, my pronouns are this, I am no. Don't. That's how that's not how a human being interacts with another human being. That is not. But this is what's happened because of the educational system.
Yes.
I talk about one of the things I'll harp on.
You need to start pushing for homeschooling.
Oh yeah, well that's like I knew people that were being homeschooled, and at first I kind of mocked it, you know. But this is like when I was going to school.
Well, a lot of years ago, it was mainly creationists.
Oh yeah, we're very religious people.
Yes,
Well,
but right now they are going to school to be taught creationist stuff from the left.
Yeah, it's
so homeschooling. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's probably the best for everything because you're looking at these people. But the biggest thing is a lot of people say, "Oh, that's McCarthyism." Well, the problem with McCarthy, he wasn't wrong. There were communists in Hollywood, and so what happened is you shine a light on them like the roach. They scatter, and where did they go? They went deeper into the Hollywood structure. They moved into the schools. Look at from 15 years onward, from say 1950 to 1965, through the 50s into the 60s. Eventually, you start getting these college professors, and then eventually that they teach these people in the next generation, and these people. Look at the political system is tied in with the educational system in America. The idea of every school having this core, you know, the Common Core, which is the dumbest. The school in California has to be at the same level as a school in middle of nowhere Alabama or in Boston, that kind of thing. A whole idea of being taught the same thing. So you're not really the teacher's not actually teaching; they're teaching from guidebooks, and it's like robots could do this job, that kind of thing. But you're dealing with these people who do not believe in the ideals of America. Granted, that could sway one way or another. Ideas of America is like going out and kicking ass and making the world a better place. Other parts like, hey, leave them to their own devices. If they really need help, they can beg for it. Don't get dragged into a war where you don't have to get dragged into it. It's like at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we got dragged into World War I and got dragged into World War II. We didn't go
but that was in your best interest.
Exactly. Honestly, I don't know if you knew this, but at the time, because of the immigrants in America, there could have been a way that America would actually fall during World War I with the Austro-Hungarians,
yes, I know.
Which would have been hilarious considering we'd go how many times we fought the British? They burned down the White House. Yeah, we did go invade Canada, and War 1812 broke out, and they burned down the White House. But hey, payback time, 100 years later, which is actually would have been about 100 years later. Yeah, 1812. So 1912. So there you go. But the way America is, the idea of until the 1960s, it wasn't that diverse. We had look at New Mexico and Arizona and Texas and even parts of Louisiana possibly. You did have people from Mexico, Mexicans, a lot of what they call Texicans, people that have been there since that kind of thing. But until the 1960s, when they started, they actually lifted immigration restrictions, and you'd get only Asian people you'd see would either be New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Seattle, and that's about it. And a lot of those are Japanese descent. And that's just or Chinese because of the the railroad from many years earlier. But the idea of this whole America's a melting pot, not really. It's a lot of it's Protestant. There's some Catholic. That's why when Kennedy was elected, people were freaking out. It's like a Catholic as president. Oh my God, that kind of thing. It's like they were freaking out because America's really a Protestant country for the most part, and this whole idea of America being this big melting pot, it wasn't really. You had Italians, you had Germans, you had French, of course, but that's since the founding of the country.
The thing, okay, it's a melting pot of different cultures, because if you are a German Protestant, it's not the same as if you are a
Italian Catholic or something. Yeah, or
Protestant.
Yeah,
the same culture.
But it's not the same culture. But there is even though it's not the same,
it comes from the same place, but it's not exactly the same place. I mean, in principles.
Yeah, but then you contrast that towards somebody coming from, let's say, Syria or Afghanistan or Pakistan.
Well,
Coming to America,
the thing, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Islam is anti.
Western. It's anti-Western.
No. Anti. Like the illustration.
Well, to me, it's anti-Western because the idea of
yes, but I'm going
yeah.
to the roots of the
secular, anti-secular.
No.
Well, that works too. But
illustration, illustration.
I'm drawing a blank.
The philosophers that lay the ground for the stuff you did with your constitution.
Oh, well, that's founder. The founders, the constitutionalists.
No, way back, but anti-Western. Okay, they are anti-freedom. They are anti. They are anti-science. They are anti-freedom of and from religion. They are anti-secularism in the good way, because the left went too far with it. Okay, you don't have to make the society secular, in the sense that you don't have to make them don't believe in God.
Well, that's the thing. Like the whole idea of they took it.
You have to make them see. They
took the secularism too far.
Yes, exactly. You have to make the people see that not having religious laws is good for them, because if in the future people from a different religion come, they can't put their religion as law.
Yeah, it's like,
you know.
I have a theory, and I don't know if you agree with this. I know your thoughts on Catholic Church, certain stuff like that. But my thing is,
I was a Catholic, and then I became I'm a Protestant minister.
Oh, really?
Lapsed. Yes.
Oh, lapsed. Okay, lapsed. Okay.
Yeah.
But my thing is, when it comes to, there are people to say grace around, like they'll say, like, thank you, Lord, for bringing this meal together, whatever, that kind of thing. They'll say stuff. They'll go to church occasionally, this and that, but they're not devout. It's kind of out of habit. It's kind of like, I acknowledge it. I'm not a full into it, but it is somewhat of a structure, and I think people do need a little bit of that structure. And I understand people are completely turned off because of certain experiences. For the love of God, I broke my leg at church. I had a guy tell me to get up and walk with Jesus. I understand, like, I was physically hurt at church. And I'd seen some really bad stuff. I saw this guy who apparently had some kind of mental
problem,
Down syndrome or something. Yeah. He was molesting girls.
Oh.
And because of him and having his mental stuff, nobody was doing nothing about it. And because, the girls were freaking out. So me and my brother picked this guy up. Me and my brother picked the guy up, and we threw him into a ditch.
Well done.
But that's the thing. It's like now, like, I mean, we were kids at the time. We're talking about 11, 12 years old.
Well done.
But this guy, I think he did get arrested a while back for something along those lines. I remember reading it in the paper. I was like, all right, that don't make any difference. He's still a piece of garbage. But there are people that they're so hard, like, we gotta get religion out of everything. It's like, I really don't think people 100% buy into it, but it's just out of habit.
I don't think people can really be out without religion. Most people.
Yeah, and
most people don't have the
willpower. The willpower alone to be able to.
No. The brain, the
scientific brain or something.
Yes, exactly like that.
Yeah, it's like
if you don't have that kind of brain, you are going to fall prey of cults like social justice.
Yeah, well, they want to belong, and that's the problem, because there's people, they can't get used to loneliness for the most part. Like people say, like,
a sense of purpose.
Well, the purpose too, because that's the big part right there. Because you have these people that when they were conceived, a lot of these people, and I think majority of the world's like this too. When they're conceived, they're not conceived out of love. they're not conceived like, oh, that's a husband and wife wanting to have
My boy
have a
was.
child. Huh?
My boy was.
Okay, there you go. But that's what I'm saying. But there's people that are like, they're conceived out of, oh, they were just horny that night. That's a lot of people. They're just conceived, and like
most.
And I know that sounds very like kind of like what do you call it? It's very woo woo, kind of spiritual, whatever. But when you make something, to make it for a reason. It's like the same thing goes with a person. Like, oh well, me and your mom met and this and that, whatever. Like, well, the reason you're around because the condom broke, or she just that kind of thing. And
yes, that I know exactly what you're trying to say.
And that lack of purpose.
If you have a child out of love because you want to have a child, you are going to be different with that child than if it was just because of bad luck.
Exactly. Okay, even though, because they said that chemicals, like especially the hormones, especially when a woman is pregnant, it's a chemistry set. She's a walking chemistry set. So imagine, you two get together, you knock boots, okay. A couple months later, like a month later, oh wow, finds out she's pregnant.
You're going to be a daddy.
Exactly. And then he's like, what? I thought you were on the pill, that kind of thing. And she's like, I thought I was too. This and that. And that even like that stress, even if she might not be physically stressed, mentally she would be. And that would, that gets transferred to the kid. Yeah. So the kid's going to have issues to begin with. And I honestly do think that it's hard to prove. And I don't get no studies, but I just you can tell people they're born in a home where the person
they were loving.
Exactly. See, I got a cousin of mine. And I really don't deal with him that much because he knocked up his this girl that he was dating in high school, like the senior year of high school. He knocked this girl up, and so he did he was kind of guilted into marrying her. He didn't love her, but guilted into marrying her. So while he stayed married with her, he had a second kid. And the second kid had a lot of medical issues, this and that, and a lot of like intestinal issues, bowel disruptions, and like really brutal stuff. Okay. So what does the guy do? Does he stay with the family, stay with his kids? No, he up and leaves his wife for a woman that was almost old enough to be his mother. No, she already had a kid. Then he adopts a child with this woman while ignoring his two birth children. And he wonders why people in the family are upset with him.
Lack of principles.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Lack of principles. Okay. You can't say nowadays. You can say to a boy, man up.
Yeah.
Because toxic masculinity. Fuck you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's there's a
that worked for centuries, millennia.
Well, there's the thing.
You think you know better.
I agree and disagree at the same time because here's the problem: to bottle that stuff up, it's like there's a time and a place for it. Shut the fuck up and do it. Do a man's work right now. You can bitch and moan about it later, that kind of thing, or cry about it later. But do it in your own seclusion. Because there's the thing, like there's people. I'll bitch and moan about something, but it'll get done. I'm like, you son of a bitch, and it's getting done, but I'll bitch and moan about it as a way to get the vent out. Because I used to just bottle it up, and then I realized, oh, that's not a good idea because I put a hole through a door. I kicked a hole through a door. I thought it was a steel door, and it was that paste board. It was like with cardboard between it. It's like a cushion.
Oh man!
And I put a hole right and the worst part, it was during a cold part of the year.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was like, well, fuck me. But I did figure a way around it. I put these little tiny wood screws, but then screwed them again. But yeah, it's like you. But that's the problem with people. They don't know how. Like a lot of people, they don't even raise their kids no more. They give them an iPad and let them loose, and there's no actual parenting. There's no time because you got especially if both parents are working. These people like, oh, every child should have access to preschool. No, they shouldn't. Because you go to preschool, what is that kid learning? What is that kid learning? That kid's going to be probably indoctrinated into something.
Yes, exactly. And if the kid hasn't a family structure to contrast that,
exactly,
it's fucked.
Well, see, I've known I've known too many people that get, and this is it got me in a little heat with some of my coworkers. Because two of them in particular at the time, it was actually three, but the one of them actually quit. because she her boyfriend got a better paying job where she didn't have to work. She could just stay at home with the kid because it worked around a lot of women. Single parents, especially single mothers, I think the kid will come up just fine.
No,
you need a balanced home. You don't need a series of men rolling through a bunch of uncles. You don't need a bunch of uncles rolling through, like, tussling the kid's hair while the door to her bedroom closes. Turn the TV up, sweetie. But you don't need that messes with a kid's head. I've known too many kids that ended up messed up because of that. And you're like, well, not all of them. Yeah, not all of them, but a majority of them. And it's like, you don't, like, at that point, if you're not, I understand.
Here's the thing. Even Obama in your country said that a kid without a father in the home, it's 5 times more likely to end up in prison, don't go to school, end up in drugs. And the girls have problems too, because they end up being single mothers, dropping out of school. So there's a reason we have been doing the marriage thing for millennia.
Yeah.
There's a reason. And it's because it's the best for the kids.
Yeah, it's the best for the families.
We are animals. We have to take care of our offspring.
Yeah.
We don't, we're fucked.
Well, then, I mean, it's the
Listen, man, I'm gonna have to go very soon.
Oh, same here. But like the thing is, it's like that movie Platoon. If the machine breaks down, we break down. If the marriage breaks down, we break down. Because you look at these people, they don't have a structured home. There's a friend of mine, and I've actually tried to break off the friendship multiple times over the years. I've done some really horrific stuff intentionally trying to, but I've been given like, I keep giving you a chance. I changed numbers. They got in contact with me after me changing numbers.
Yes.
It was like, it's kind of not full out stalker, but close enough. But their ideology is so anti-me, and
anti-human.
Well, their thing is it's a her. Born in Costa Rica, adopted by an American family, a pretty well-off American family. So adopted, had a chance at a better life than I had ever had a chance for, being way lower middle class. Probably lower than that at times, depending on some bad years. But gets more opportunities than not. Schooling at good schools, everything pretty much she wanted. Is a communist, open relationship, all this kind of that kind of stuff, that kind of person. Basically, the antithesis of the social justice warrior. Everything, guns are evil. I'm like, what if you came home and your family was being held hostage? You wouldn't want a gun? I just call the police. I'm like, what? And it's this idea of like, I think honestly, and also her dog's probably going to kill her one day because she got one of those rescue pit bulls. And it's like this, it freaks out at times. I'm like, one of these days it's going to freak out and take off your head. But I like everything about that. It's like, I asked her, I said, so do you want to have kids one day? She says, yeah, I'd like to have kids one day. She says, how do you think your kid's going to adjust to the fact that you have men coming in and out and these other people switching in and out of his life over the years? Whether it's a boy or girl, or it's like, well, it may be non-binary. And I'm like, oh my God, like that kind of thing. Like,
no.
Yeah. But that's the thing. These are the type of people. You will get these kids. You will get and if they, for the fear, my thing is, if you want to cut off your tits, you cut off your dick, and you want to call yourself Susie, fine, whatever. But once you start running for political office or wanting power in any form, whether it be creatively, politically, whatever, that's the problem. When you're a private citizen, fine. When you start becoming a public figure, no, because that gives you influence. That gives you power on a level that you do not deserve, especially when you are mentally deranged.
Exactly.
But I think on that, we should wrap it up. So,
yes, I think so too.
But this was fun, even though, wow, Josh leaves, Braylon leaves, and we go off on a fucked up tangent. Oh my god.
It was
That's
fun,
just-
man. We should really make it a weekly thing.
Yes,
What do
Friday.
you think? Every Friday?
Friday should be good. Yeah, I don't see why not, unless something comes up. Because
Very well, and let's try to get, if not Josh, someone else next week.
you're gonna hear Josh's stalker story. So yeah, we gotta.
Oh
get
yes,
that.
I want to hear that.
I think he'll probably run and go get some dinner or something, because it is like, it's only 8:37 in California now. So yeah, so he's
Okay.
and it's only 10:37 for you. So yeah, we're doing
We're doing pretty decent compared to last time.
7 hours, 6.5. But thank you folks for joining us. If there's still people here, I can't tell. I haven't seen the chat, but
Yes, there are some.
well, I appreciate the people sticking with us.
Yes.
If we didn't turn them off at that point, they're still with us now. There's some diehards.
Talking politics.
Yeah, politics and religion, the two things you're not supposed to talk
and
about.
history.
History too.
History, yeah. Fuck.
History is hate, my friend. History is hate.
Yes, it is. It's racist.
Well, we shall do this again soon, and thank you folks for joining us. This is Larry King signing off.
Thank everybody, and thank you, Larry, for coming by.
You're very welcome. All right. Bye.
See you all soon. Bye.